We're live.
Hi, Krista.
Hi. Are we live?
We are live. I'm showing we've been live for 12 seconds.
Okay. Well, if anybody's not in the room, hopefully they'll come getting into the room. So this is our first live that we're doing for Whose Side Are You On with Kristen Marie Miller, the Unpopular Opinion. So literally bear with us because, again, this is like the first time we're doing this. So Whose Side Are You On? Hold on. Let me turn myself down so I don't like double help me. All right, guys. Okay. So I put out a pre-recording this week for Whose Side Are You On? And we were doing Noella. Well, OC would be with Noella versus everyone else. And I did it that way because it seems like she has gone up against almost everybody at this point. Hi. And then basically what we see is her coming down on everybody, including Heather. So I did that one. And I also did OC with her with this thing that she has going on with Teddy. I don't know if anybody saw it, but they just had some stupid little feud going on, but I'll explain that in my thing, which I kind of already did. And then I wanted to also do Meredith Marks from Salt Lake and everyone else. Now I say Meredith versus everyone else because we see that last episode, everything that went down and the talks that were leading up to that day, accusing her of the feds and who called the feds on Jen Shah. And now I just literally rewatched it again just to make sure I was clear on what was going on. So we're going to go into my opinion, which I know you guys already saw my opinion, but so I'll keep it really short. And then I have my two favorite people panelists, Miss Georgia Carolina and Kristen, the math nerd. And we're going to do this every week, and we're going to give our opinions, our sides. And I guess, I don't know if you guys left a lot of comments or your opinions, but like if you guys have opinions, please come into the chat and let me know, because what I'm realizing is that my logic is not the same. Like not everybody's logic is the same. That's what I'm starting to figure out. And that like things that I think seem logical may not seem logical to everyone else, but like that's kind of what I base my opinions on. But then I also realized that like it's just not everybody sees it. I saw a lot of people that were like against Meredith Marks for other reasons, which I was curious about too, because I just find it fascinating that like I always think that I'm right, and then I realize I'm not always right. I know that I am wrong sometimes, but like the reasons I think I'm right are like really stupid and they don't really make sense. So I like literally ask for opposing opinions and people to try to explain it to me. And I promise I won't argue with you. I'll try to listen. So with that,
Annika's here.
Huh? I don't know.
Annika's here.
I was going to ask her to moderate, but then there's really nothing to moderate unless we have a lot of people coming in. But you know, and then I don't think. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. So I'm going to start with Meredith Marks, okay? Now, Kristen, do you have an opinion on that at all before I get into it? Did you watch any of it?
So I was rewatching some of the reels that were on YouTube.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
In between, and I feel like a lot of your points are extremely valid in that, Meredith is kind of a facts and logic person. And so the other women are using gossip and innuendo, and they do it when she is not around.
Right.
So it feels to us, the viewer, like it's everyone against Meredith, even though none of them have actually said anything to Meredith. So all of us got the impression that this was all going on and there was this big confrontation that was going to happen. But in reality, this was like behind the back gossip.
Right.
Nobody had the courage to say anything to her face. And so when the blow up happened, Meredith definitely was blindsided.
Right. And Georgia, did you see did you watch that at all? Did you watch the
whole... She dropped out.
No. I thought she was here. Oh my God. I thought she was in it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm thinking that she was there. I thought you were there the whole time. Were you you heard it? Did you hear us though talking?
Yeah, I have just been backstage the whole time. Hey.
I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, do you have an opinion? And she's like, she dropped out. I'm like, wait, where? Okay. Now, did you watch the episode, right?
Yes. I thought I didn't at first, but then I watched an episode that sounds like what y'all are talking about. So I'm like, yeah, I saw this.
Now, that's what it seemed. It really seems like we've been watching like this whole thing that like Meredith, did she or did she not call the feds, right? And it seems like she's been fighting at this for this whole time, but really she hasn't, because she had no idea until just last episode that that's
Yeah,
what they
they've
were all
pretty
thinking.
much been formulating this opinion behind her back for weeks at a time because she just conveniently just happens to miss every bus trip and every like she just happens to just be ghost every time that they are having a conversation about her or about Jennifer Shaw getting indicted. Like it's so funny. But it's crazy that it spread through the group like that. So by the time she got there, like everybody was kind of like questioning it. But then I it sucks that nobody like even Whitney, like
I know,
Whitney being the housewives player that she is, like she plays housewives like a game of Clue. And I
right?
love that about her. It
Hmm.
feels like she would have the wherewithal to step back and think like, don't you think that if Homeland Security and all of this was getting involved, like this would have been going, like this investigation would have been going on for a while now? Or are private investigators even allowed to receive information on ongoing criminal investigations? Like there was no level of critical thinking, and I was disappointed in that specifically. But
I
Meredith
think
has kind of been
Fontavia has it
isolating
right.
herself
Nobody
for a
called the
while.
feds. They were already watching Jen.
They were already watching.
That's
They've
the
been
logical
watching.
point, right? Like we all know that, but it's like, where did they get it messed up? Like, how did Heather even? Heather being very logical. How is she questioning
I
where?
think here's the difference
Okay,
between this situation and with Beverly Hills. I think with Beverly Hills, we saw them read every article, every news clipping, every Google alert, every Twitter post, every Instagram story. They read everything
right,
that came out about Erica Jane on camera. Did
right.
y'all see them read anything about
No.
Jen Shaw's case
No,
all season?
and isn't it? I find it crazy how much we were so focused and how hyper focused they were on what was going on with Erica. I mean, they were vultures on her, being her friends too. But and this is like this thing with Meredith, how they're so focused on this one thing about what did she or didn't call the feds, other than what your friend did and all the questions we want answers to too. Like, we wanted the same answers from Erica that I do. I want Jen Shaw to answer some questions, but like you would think they'd be saying to her, what do you mean? Like you're questioning whether my integrity, whether I made up my father's memorial, but this one over here is really frauding. They were having a grand jury indict her. I mean, pretty much we can say allegedly. I have to say allegedly, but
But I think it's because they're not really friends with Jen Shaw. Like the Fox News 5 are actually friends. Like they are real friends in real life and they genuinely care about what was going on with Erica. So I think that they were invested in getting to the truth of what's going on with their friend because they've invested 5 years at this point of getting to know her. And
yeah,
if everything that they knew about her, as Dorit said, was diametrically opposed to what they believed, then they care. I think with these girls, they met Jen Shaw last year. They met
but
her 2 3 years ago. They're not really
right,
invested in her life like that because if you notice, this whole thing has been more about if Meredith and Mary called the
right,
feds than
right.
figuring out if Jennifer Shaw, because I
Well, I
can't say
do
her
have
name
a
without saying Jennifer Shaw.
theory. I do
Hmm.
have a theory. So
Hmm.
Annika and Santavia both had, in the chat
Yeah,
had both said things and about surveillance and stuff. So I do have a theory about how they found her at Beauty Lab. So, and this actually is something that, believe it or not, my 5-year-old pointed
hmm,
out to me.
right,
Word,
So a couple of
5 year old.
weeks ago, my 5-year-old was messing around on her phone
hmm,
and in secret in her bed at night. Next
yeah,
thing I know, bang, bang, bang at my front door, sheriff's department. She
hmm,
had,
She hit
she
the
had
SOS button.
accidentally made an emergency call and they did a geolocation. Now, remember, Jen Shaw was on the bus and answered a phone call.
right,
Ping. Cell
All
tower.
they
right.
had to do,
Or
if they were already tracking her,
right,
was the moment she activated that phone and it was an active line, they pinged the
They would have
phone,
pinged
had
that
the
cell tower.
geolocation, and you notice as soon as she hung up, she got the hell out of Dodge.
And as soon
She
as she
left,
left,
but
they
they
showed
knew
up
where she
10
was.
minutes later.
And
Like,
that's why and it's, if it hadn't been for the fact that literally like right, I mean, after we talked earlier today,
Right.
the three of us
Right.
getting ready for our live,
Right.
my 5-year-old made a comment and I was like, you know what? That's it. That's how they found her.
Well, I was
She
thinking
answered
too,
her phone.
we also saw it where, okay, it looked like they went to Beauty Lab first and then her house. They could have been at her house, and everybody in her family knew where she was. All they had to say is, "Where is your mom? She's at, she just left on it." It wouldn't have been that hard to find out where the cast is meeting. You know what I'm saying? The feds want to know where you're at. They called Jed. They say, call her and find out where she's at. You're not going to tell the Fed no.
Either that, or
But
they had already picked up Stu. And Stu knew exactly where she was going to be. So Stu popped on her as soon.
I wish they would just clear it up.
Heard the word handcuffs.
I think they'll clear it at the reunion.
But why not?
If she's allowed to speak about it.
It's like so crazy because I think like we're all like, it's the big question. Did Meredith call? How did they know they were at Beauty Lab? And how was, did she help launch the investigation? Or
I'm going to be honest.
Watch the ID channel at all. They don't watch any.
Right.
They don't watch any group TV.
Like
y'all ain't seen Cops. Y'all ain't seen First 48. Y'all ain't seen no type of cop show. Like, this is like all of the things that we've been talking about are very like common logic, nearly common sense
TV
kind of
show,
like.
Yeah. The Sopranos, Ozarks. Like, you can really learn how to be a criminal just by watching The Sopranos, The Sons of Anarchy. You know what I mean? Like, you laundering money. I know that from watching the Ozarks.
Y'all ain't seen one episode of Snapped?
Yes. Yeah, right.
Like, come on, girl. Like, what is y'all? Go ahead, baby.
Now, go ahead.
So I think that, I mean, with the, like, whose side are you on? I think all of us are on Meredith's side because, at least for myself, it really bothers me, the insidiousness of, while she is at her father's memorial service, these women spun her absence for a storyline for weeks. Without her knowledge, for weeks, they used her absence because they didn't have anything to offer. These women had nothing to offer that was dramatic. So they used Meredith not being there to create some conspiracy about who targeted Jen Shaw.
I have a timeline question.
Yeah.
Did Meredith tell them before they got to Vail that she was going to her father's memorial, or did she tell them when they got there why she showed up late, or wherever it is they were? I can't remember which trip.
I think her father's memorial was closer to Vail then it was for her to go all the way home. It was easier for her to leave her father's memorial and go to Vail that way than they go all the way home and afraid of rain and come back. I think so. Her being at her father's memorial, yes, that's why she didn't come back, because it was closer to get. So that's why I believe so. But
my question was, did the girls know that beforehand? Because if my recollection serves me right. All I remember her saying was that she's going to meet them in Vail. I can't remember her saying that her father's memorial was there and then she met him, but I do remember her saying it at some point. I just can't remember if she was saying it once they had already gotten there or if she said it before. Because I don't if you sat here and knew that this woman was at her father's memorial and still made it about... And still made it to be a conspiracy theory about her calling the FBI. Like, that's real messed up.
Remember how she said Lisa was on the phone at one point. I think one of them said Lisa was on the phone with Meredith, and she said, I'm at my father's thing. And then Lisa hung up with her. And I think Heather said, where is she or something? And is she at her father's memorial? And Lisa said, she's somewhere, but I don't know where. But Lisa knew right where she was. Now, that's what they just showed us. And looking at the look back, but I didn't remember that from the first time. So I didn't remember why she wasn't on the Sprinter van to begin with. I just heard it when she explained it there. And then they started bringing up when she woke up and started screaming. And she's like, and it made it about she's like, they knew where I was. And I'm like, oh, wow. So
can I just jump in super quick? Okay. First, hi, Mocha. Welcome. And second, I just want to say I am absolutely sick of the cast of all of the different cities in this franchise using someone's absence and grief about the death of someone that they love as a storyline for themselves. They did it to Lisa Vanderpump on Beverly Hills after she lost her brother and her mother in the same year. They used both of those deaths as a way to attack her at her weakest moment.
Didn't she lose both of her parents back to back?
And that's not even the
before
first.
Her brother too.
I know, but listen, like think about too. Like this is what I mean. But back with think about what was going on. Like we got to go back to Salt Lake City. Okay, Meredith.
No, I know. Circling back.
Heather's her good friend. I'm saying this. Think about the same thing with all these other ladies. They're her good friends on the show, whether it's reality show or not. Like Heather's her very good friend. Lisa knew where she was. Why is this even being an issue if your good friend knows the truth? How is this even able to be spun? Is production that good that all these ladies are able to get on all these different franchises can be broken? Can be like
on season 2. You know this pay can't be that good.
Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, at what point do you really listen? Like Meredith's like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to entertain any more of this. How can you keep saying this? And then even when she came back out and said, okay, ask me. She confronted all of them at the table and they all said, now they believed her. So now again, why are we seeing previews that they're still questioning whether she was at her father's memorial? If she's
but that's the thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but that's the thing that we have seen with these other women. Until they break them down emotionally, they are not willing to allow them the space to grieve, or just if it's the death of a loved one, or even like last year with Beverly Hills, they broke Garcelle down emotionally before they actually accepted the validity of her emotional reaction. And to me, I find the fact that these casts get, number one, manipulated by production, and number two, that they seem to be seeking out women who are willing to emotionally abuse their friends in their weak moments to use it as a storyline. And I find it absolutely appalling that Meredith was only given, as Santavia said, 1 day. I'm sorry, but when you lose a parent, it takes you a lot longer than a single day to emotionally process that. Some people don't process that grief for years afterwards. And it's horrible to watch, and it makes the show, that is not entertainment. That is not something fun. That's not drama or shade or messy. That's nasty and insidious, and I am appalled at it.
And exactly was my point earlier when I was saying to you, at what you said, then she should just walk away. And that's when I said, you're right. Absolutely. Did you see how distraught that made her? That's why I was trying to explain, like, when does it become like, is it really about production at this point? 'Cause how ridiculous to do this to her over that when there's so much more serious crimes being committed, right? Actual fraudulent crimes being committed and threatening text messages. Nobody's questioning that situation, but they want to break this woman down after she just lost her father and then question her. And did you see what happened when she woke up? How she was screaming? That is not somebody who's like, they pushed her over the edge. Like, she was screaming that morning when she realized what they were implying. That means that she was a liar and that her family was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
See, I think that speaks to my point about them not being her friends.
Right.
Like, that speaks to them not being her real friends, because what real friends of somebody would have the moral character to do them like that?
Right.
Mind you, Giselle is one of the most blatantly shady housewives we have ever seen. She lives in the shade and she is proud of it. She plants palm trees in her spare time.
Right.
But I don't think she would ever do that to Robin. I don't think she would. I don't even think that she would do that to Karen.
I agree. I agree.
That's just morally corrupt.
And it's like, look at like with Jen Shaw last year when she said with her father's funeral, how she made everybody believe that Coach Shaw didn't go to her father's funeral. And we're probably like, how is that? On what universe could that possibly be true? And why would that be true? How could that be true?
I automatically thought he's never home anyway because he's coaching. Was the man working? Like,
That's
that's
exactly.
literally the first thing I thought was,
I was like,
he's
we're gonna
never
have to
home
hear
right
from.
now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hear and see. When he got to the reunion and it cleared it up, it was like, wow. You know what I
But
mean? Like these people are gaslighting their own family for this
and me
crap.
listening to this makes me think, like, you remember all the stuff going on with
Everyone says
Whitney's
he's
dad last year?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You remember all the stuff going on with Whitney's dad last year, how he
Right.
was struggling, going in and
Yes.
out of the halfway house, going to rehab, all of
Yeah.
that. What if they would have questioned her not showing up to an event where, like, she was taking her dad to rehab, and like, girl, you was at the bar, girl, stop, like, you wasn't taking
Yeah.
yo your dad to no rehab, he's fine. Like, she would have absolutely scalped every last
And
one of
then
them.
say he now his relapse. Or I don't know what's going on. And then something happened. Like I'm saying, this is actually people's real life. Now with something happened, he relapsed. Now look, I mean, she could say like all that stuff that happened. Like now I caused my dad to relapse. But then it's like Meredith. I mean, think about all the friendships that break on these shows if they're not real. You know what I mean? Like you said, there's people that we know would like Dolores that would never happen with her and Teresa. But like, look how easily this show is able to break Jen and Lisa. I mean, Meredith and Lisa, because we saw. I mean, if my friend said that to me, Mike or not, that's the end of our friendship. You know what
How
I
long
mean?
had they been friends before the show?
20. They
Because I
said
keep
20
forgetting
years.
how close they're supposed to be.
I think 20 years. I don't know if they remember. It's 10 to 20 years, I think.
That has
I'm
got to be a
sorry,
lie.
but I do not for one second believe that Meredith was actually friends with any of these women except for Jen. And as Mocha said, everyone said something in the van.
That's what I'm saying. She actually really believed that Lisa was her friend. That's where the hurt goes. Like it doesn't matter if she realizes it now. The fact is, she really believed it, and that pain is real. Like it really, her friend. But what could have possibly been that horrible that Lisa would say that about her friend of 20? You know what I mean? They couldn't have been that great of friends, because if
Lisa
I would
is
never even said
morally
it about my
corrupt,
brother,
though. Like, Lisa is a deviant.
that
Like,
was
because the way that she
10 years ago.
utilizes information that she knows about people, she will only use the information that she knows about people as a weapon. And that's the part that is crazy. Like, you have 20 years of friendship with this woman. Can any of y'all see chemistry between them that let y'all know they've been friends for 20 years? When we saw Nene and Sheree, we knew they had been friends for years and years and years. When we see Robin and Giselle, we knew they had been friends for years and years and years. Even when we saw Kyle and Lisa, they even gave us like, oh, they've been friends for a while. Like, they know each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
These
crazy.
women act like they just met. But Lisa Barlow is absolutely evil. Like, the way she used this information about Mary, like, you had this information on Cameron and Mary for how long? You never had a conversation with Mary about it, but when it was appropriate, you decided to spread it to the other members of the group, and to the point of bringing this person on camera to tell his truth to the only person who was aligned with Mary at the time. Like, all of that seems manipulated. All of that seems calculated. It's just,
I know. And it's like, and then Meredith's head's probably spinning. And that's why I would see a lot of people talking and actually not taking Meredith's side. I've seen people saying that they think she's calculated. That's why I wanted to do this too, because I'm like, how can anybody see it any other way unless you're looking at it from a Housewives drama production standpoint? If you're looking at it that way, it works. But if you're looking at it in real time, like how we are really seeing it and how it's really going down, it's not cool, because when the cameras from production leaves, they still have to live the same life that you created, and like life still goes on, and that's all that shit's still going to happen when the production goes home, whether you made that
that's the difference between us and regular Housewives viewers. Most Housewives viewers, if we were the average Housewives viewers, we would be like, Lisa is giving it up this season. She is turning it. If we were regular Housewife viewers, we would be saying that Lisa is a top tier housewife. But because we have some sort of moral character, we all see through that bullshit. And like, we are like, do you not see that this woman is a deviant in real life?
And
like,
yep. that's like the same thing. Now we could say the same thing with Noella. We see other people are going to see her as, I don't know, like, I guess a good drama housewife. But
They're
we're
gonna see
seeing
the
it.
same things in her that they saw in Kelly Dodd when she first joined the show. I guarantee you. I've been saying it for weeks now. Mark my words. She
And
is going to
we
get
see it
Kelly
like,
Dodd comparisons.
we're starting to see, we're seeing, because we see it with a different lens, whether it's watching it for so long or just this last 2 years, just being screwed by,
Real quick,
like, you believe it in certain people.
we have a troll in the chat. Can you
Where?
either make one of the other either Santavia or Annika a mod so they can do it, or they can either
I'm
jump
just gonna
the
block
troll
them.
out?
It's just that one person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
Like, so, you know.
Oh, no, we got another.
What? All right. How do I make you a mod? I don't know. How do I make her a mod? Can I do it like? Yeah, I'm not gonna be
Go
able to
to
do it.
the. I think you have to do it from the actual stream.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do it without like having to leave, and like I don't think I'll be able to. It's gonna take up too much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it that quick. I
But
can.
there's another troll in there.
Well, I mean, I can just block them. They're not. They're just like them stupid things, right?
I was about to say, if y'all want to hear me curse y'all out, just give me.
I know. I mean, as long as
reason.
like, I just can't figure out I can't make Anika. I can't figure out how to do it. Like, it's not. It's gonna take. I might end up messing this whole thing up if I try to get out and try to do something.
It's all good.
Yeah, I'll try to keep blocking them.
So now we've
gotta
talked Salt Lake City. I think we're all kind of in agreement that for Meredith, that she has been set up by the entire cast and production, because we see it in the edit.
But
This whole scheme was a Todd this whole trip to Vail was a scheme that Todd set up to come to Meredith with the bullshit.
I just don't, and too, like, who the heck goes and like spend their Mother's Day weekend with doing that and literally fighting off everything ridiculous. And then for Jennifer Shaw, probably her last Mother's Day home with her family. Why would you want to spend it not with your children? You know what I mean?
Jennifer Shaw does not believe that this is going to be possibly her last Mother's Day. So I can understand.
Like,
so I understand exactly why she's there. But
we're trying to put our heads. Yeah.
But can I ask a quick funny question?
What?
Did anybody else think it was completely inappropriate that Dewey was the one to give them the message that they were doing this trip in Vail? Of all people?
The one who gets up.
The one who wants kids by any means necessary, even if that means a sister wife?
I'm sending you away on Mother's Day weekend. Like,
I'm sending you away on Mother's Day weekend.
Well, we haven't seen him since, so he couldn't even put it.
Did anybody else feel like cringed out by that? I was like, you?
I feel cringe how they try to make them the husbands look like the Jersey husbands, and they try to literally make them look like they're like bros, and then literally Seth tells that stupid joke to Justin, truth or false, you play golf with your wife, and it's like that's supposed to be this big roasting moment, and everybody's like, what in the world?
Like they all had to stop and process and were like,
it's like, oh yeah, like, okay, now you're gonna try to make them you know what I mean? They're gonna make
I feel bad that I thought Dewey was cute.
He's all right.
I like Asian. Mind you, I would not say that I have a fetish for Asian men because I'm not a fetishist, but I do have a vested interest in Asian men. Dewey is, when this season started, Dewey was so sexy to me.
Are you watching?
So he opened his mouth and started talking about kids, and I was like, "You're a fucking pig."
What do you think about do you watch 90 Day with Ella and Ella? That's the new 90 Day before the 90 days. Ella, I forget his name. Yeah, she's one girl. She's like into Asian culture and stuff, and she met a guy, and he's supposed to be coming over. But I was wondering if you thought he was cute, because I think Dewey's
want to watch
cute,
that. But some of these shows, I was just like, what sense does that make? 90 Day Fiance, Married at First Sight. I'm surprised though I haven't been watching Love After Lockup. I'm like, why have I not gotten into that?
That's my.
Oh, sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead. I love it. That's the one, like, I love to watch it, but like, that's the one that I will like literally clown to death. Like, I want you to watch it so we can talk about it, because it's funny as hell. It's funny. You're going to die. You're gonna
Because
die.
Love After Lockup just sounds hilarious.
When you it's even
Like the
fun.
clips and the commercials I've seen, I have cackled and kikied, but I have just never seen an episode. I don't know why, but it's on my list of things to frequent. It
Oh,
is.
look, we got so many more people.
I was gonna say,
We
yeah,
got
like
Megs
so.
and
it's like
Coffee
the gang
Buzz
on
and
here, guys.
Joe.
I
I
posted
wonder.
it in my community tab, so I hope
Oh, you
that
have one.
some of
I'm
the
not full
constituents
enough
can join.
yet. I don't have enough people yet.
Love
I
After.
love that because
Did you see Joe? That's Jen Shaw's next show, Love After Lockup.
that's what I
Okay,
mean.
her and Sharif
True words, man.
reconnect.
True words.
Think about it. Like she's really like to fucking really think. Sorry, I'm not person. To think that you're going to go up against the state of New York, who literally, you know what evidence they have. If you could really walk into that courtroom and tell them that everybody's lying, but you, and stick by that, then then I swear to God, the judge is probably going to laugh. And like literally think about how of a mockery that's going to be of her courtroom, first of all. And Jen Shaw's still going to think it's funny until she's behind bars because listen, she's going to give her extra time just for her thinking that she's cute.
Jennifer
I
Shaw.
promise you that. She's
Jennifer
not.
Shaw.
This is
Hear
not a
me.
joke.
Hear
Tell
me
her.
clearly,
Tell
Miss
her.
Thing. Jennifer
Tell her.
Shaw. Hear me clearly, Miss Thing. Go back and watch everything that has transpired with this Tasha K case, and do the 100,000% opposite of any and everything she did. Because
I
Tasha K had that same mindset. She went about this lawsuit and everything that preceded it.
hmm.
She snuffed and thumbed her nose at any and everybody she could snuff and thumb her nose at, and now she walked in and lost that case. Now, mind you, I'm getting ready to put out a video about this later, so y'all stay tuned tonight. I'll be dropping something on that and it's a video on Tasha K's statement and Jenny's whatever. But yeah, like I'll go into more detail about that. But Jennifer Shaw, pay attention to what just
Right.
happened with Tasha K, because had Tasha K just had some common sense and some moral integrity, or at least some
Right.
humility, she
How do
would
you
not have a $4 million judgment against her right
now,
now.
like I wonder, like what did her like? What defense possibly when Tasha, when you know that you're caught, and they're showing you that when you're in the court, do you still have a defense? Did Tasha still sit there and have that same attitude when
Yes. She
so
did.
what?
She literally sat there and testified. That's what I'm saying.
Really?
Like she was. That's why
So
I
it's
named.
possible that people can
That's
do
why.
that. That's like,
That's why I named the second video that I made about Tasha K's case a lesson in arrogance, because she went
seriously.
through this entire process arrogant. There
I'm
is
sorry, you guys.
video
I don't mean
footage
to laugh. I'm looking at the chat.
Mhm.
they
Jenny
going on.
from the cell block.
That's what I mean. That judge, that's a lot of money. Like she literally, like that's what I mean. Everybody, you got 12 people and your best friend, all sitting there. The same judge signed the plea deals that say if one thing is off track on any one of those plea deals, which means if Jennifer Shaw's found not guilty, all those plea deals are now null and void, and all those people go away because that shows that they lied, right? So anything that it happens, if they find anything off track of them fucking plea deals, they're not lying. Put it this way, they're not lying. So you're really going to have all those people. She signed all the plea deals. The judge, the prosecutor, your every lawyer you probably have is probably telling you take a plea. They got you. Take a plea. They have
I
you.
don't think there's a legal team
Who's
alive today that was as good as OJ's team. She don't got a
That's
goddamn
crazy,
chance.
right? She
I'm
probably thinks
sorry.
she's got a chance because
She
of that.
thinks she's OJ. She thinks
Well,
she's
I mean,
OJ.
she's
Like,
literally,
I don't understand.
this is
You
the
are
same
not the
thing,
juice.
right? But think about it.
The thing with Jen Shaw is that I don't think a lot of people realize is that number one, there are literally millions of pages of documents,
No,
and
people realize that. She
each
doesn't.
of these defendants has
She's the only one that doesn't realize
hold
that.
on, each of these defendants
Mhm.
has had to provide their testimony already. So
Mhm.
each of them has had everything that they have turned over to the for evidence, they've had it all checked against each other. If there were discrepancies between the information that they provided, it was checked against the other people. They have 12 people all giving their stories. So I guarantee you, by the time we get to the trial, that they are going to be like, she cannot say anything that disproves all 12 people's testimony.
But she is. That's what I'm telling you. She's still walking in. She still plans on walking in there. That's what I want to know. What is your defense? What could your possible defense team have? What could they possibly say? What is your defense? That's what I want to know. What is your defense team going to say that day in court? I'm telling you, her husband being an attorney, how is he not telling her?
Her husband is a basketball coach.
No, he's a retired attorney as well. That was his other job. So he knows the law.
He hasn't been an attorney, and he wasn't a criminal attorney, and he hasn't been one for. He has not been one for over 10 years. He was not a federal prosecutor, and he was not a federal defense attorney.
That's not
just because somebody has been an attorney does not mean that.
I didn't say. You didn't even let me finish. Listen to me. It does. I don't care how long ago it was or whatever. He has he has an attorney's background. How is he not explaining to her the same thing her attorneys are telling? How is he not sitting there saying, they have you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a conversation where he's like, all the evidence and blah, blah, blah. How is he not sitting there telling her, they have you? You can't lie to me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, any normal person would say that, but him even having that background. Like, what is that conversation?
It just makes me wonder, what is Jen Shaw telling him?
Exactly.
It's not like he's home to know what's going on. It's not like he's home to see some mysterious paperwork or see her making shady phone calls or to see random money moving around. Like, he's never there. So I wonder what it is that she's told him that has him so blindly in defense of her that
he thinks everybody's lying to her.
To your point. Yeah. To your point, with him being a retired attorney, I would think that there would be a certain level of legal, what's the word I'm looking for? Legal intuition, if you will, or like legal awareness, some sort of like
something,
or intuition to be like,
something ain't right.
Because it seems like nobody is reading the details of this case. Did her husband know?
I don't know
that they had already taken down like 12 people.
That's what I mean.
Before they got to her, because it's like
it's something
he's blindly in defense.
I don't. Sorry, I don't necessarily think it's blindly in defense. What? I think that he sees her for who she is, and at this point, I honestly feel like he is doing what he has to protect his children,
and just like waiting for her.
And that is the only focus that he has at this point.
He's just
one of the things that one of the things that
Thank you, Joe.
Joe said that he was a practicing attorney in commercial litigation, and then he was a trial attorney as well, but he has not practiced in basically a decade.
So he still
Annika said that she.
I would think.
Sorry, we're talking over each other, and it's hard for people to watch. Annika had said that she wanted Emily D. Baker to cover it, and Emily actually talked about this on a stream recently, and she said that basically the Southern District of New York will choose multiple juries, and they'll have all of the juries seated at the same time in the courtroom, and each jury will hear pieces of the evidence, but none of them will actually hear everything. And that's in C-19 kind of days. Right. Well, so right now they just jumped off with filming and everything else, right? But with the way that things are going during the panini right now, the likelihood that this trial will happen on time is decreasing every day, because there are 2 trials that have to take place before hers begins, which means that Bravo could very well have rushed production to cover the trial, and it's not even going to happen, and this was all for naught.
Right.
So
what is it?
Let me ask.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right, go ahead.
Uh,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask. Okay, so you don't think he's blindly in defense and
Right,
like
that's
he's
when I
just
get back to
accepting
him.
what is?
Right.
I I kind of I it makes me curious then
Right.
because now I'm thinking about Omar and I'm
Right.
thinking about her kids and I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
so if you are willing to sacrifice $2 million in defense of her and
Thank
you
you.
have a shadow of guilt
Thank you.
personally, not even saying it to her, not to the kids, to anything else,
Right.
to yourself, I
Right.
wonder if he's thinking like if he's not blindly in defense of her, I
Right.
wonder if he's like, well, how am I going to relay this situation to our kids positively? Like, do I defend them
Right.
as a way of protecting their mother?
Right.
Or do I let her suffer her fate as a sign of responsibility and taking accountability for your actions? Like that has to be a mental
I
conundrum as a
know.
husband and a parent.
And wondering too, like if we believe that, okay, we know that she's done this and she's taken this risk, and that's horrible enough as one parent to do it. I don't want to actually to believe then too that he had any knowledge, because then you have to believe that two parents are willing to do that to their children, and I don't think that's so. That's just the odds of that. Him also having integrity as well. Could it be that maybe he's defending her and outright, but behind closed doors, he's really saying, "Look, Jen, this is this is serious. Like, I'm not gonna out you out there, but you got to take responsibility, and you can't She's gonna lay longer by being so defensive and being so outlandish. The court's gonna end up. She's gonna put herself behind bars even longer and away from her children even more. She could just take responsibility and take less time and take a plea deal. Her husband should be telling her to do this.
There are no plea deals at this point. There are none. That's something Emily D. Baker said, is that once they get to this point,
exactly,
there are no plea deals on the table. At this point, we are so close to the trial that even if she were to plead guilty,
right,
she would already have had to enter that plea.
And so she can change her plea, I think, up until the last minute. Can't she change her plea up until literally the last day of court, the last time? But I think she. I mean, if that's outrageous. Like that's even worse, because man, then she knows that she can't change it at this point, right?
But whether she can or not, though, I'm thinking about
the
financial burden that's going to take on these on these kids. Because remember, she said that just the retainer for her legal team is $2 million. Just the retainer, just the fee to lock them in is $2 million. Think about how you gotta just imagine what they charge by the hour and the amount of billable hours it is going to take for them to come up with some sort of credible offense on an investigation that has been going on for a decade.
Exactly.
Yo, how are these kids going to college?
I mean, like I said, I really want to know. Like, I'm curious. Like, how is all? I mean, how are they paying for? Like, well, paying for it's one thing, but like, it's a huge risk. You know what I mean? A huge financial risk and just risk in general. What is going on? Like, that's like I really think too, like when they're in therapy, like how like she's in therapy or whatever, he's trying to figure it out himself. They've been married a long time, like 25 some year. You know what I mean? At some point, he's probably thinking, like, when did this turn bad? Like, when did this turn bad? Like, where did it go wrong? Like, where she made the decision to take this risk. I wonder, like, or does he just believe that she's innocent?
I'm trying to figure it out because it's like like y'all are going ahead with this. Like,
if that's true and they can't change their plea, full steam ahead is right.
This is like, like.
Well, to answer your question,
sorry.
To answer your question about about what he knew or didn't know, I still circle back to the fact that I think he's doing whatever he has to protect those children and keep his own job and let's remember, he's a football coordinating coach. So he's that's why we all hear him referred to as Coordinator Shaw. So as long as he keeps his job, his children get to go to college at the school he's employed at for free.
Right.
But he cannot so he has to walk a very fine line on what does he do to, in order to keep his position, to protect himself, to protect his children, because he is now the sole financial responsibility and breadwinner and provider for 2 teenage boys. And, let's all face it, his job is going to require that he travel a lot. So he has to be planning out, what am I going to do? How am I going to take care of my kids? What about extended family? And now all of us know how Jen Shaw has leveraged her own family in order to provide a fund for this, legal strategy that seems to be ridiculous in nature. And I talk about the ridiculous in nature because previously we saw that she was sitting and having conversations on camera with an attorney, purportedly her attorney. And if that were true, then she has compromised her own attorney-client privilege, and the prosecutor can now get all of those documents and records, which is probably why she had to switch attorneys.
Which is why I'm asking, what big joker is Jennifer Shaw sitting on to make Coach Shaw this because it's like there is so much risk here.
Huge.
Because I get that thought process of it, but then I'm like, in that thought process, I'm like, this huge financial risk. Okay, yes, they're going to college for free, but then like
too much evidence.
$2 million. Like, what does their savings look like? What does his general income look like? Like, do they just have this? Like, what does he know? What does he believe to bet $2 million on her innocence? Like, what big joker is she sitting on? Because he has to think about those kids. Like, that's why it's making it so much more perplexing and confusing that it's that he's doing this. That's why it's so much more confusing, because it's like y'all y'all are sitting here pilfering money from family members. You got your teacher mama, and we all know that teachers don't get paid enough. You got her willing to cash in her entire life to give you $1 million. So it's not like y'all are so financially set that like y'all just got $2 million sitting in a safety deposit box that y'all can go drop off down to the Johnny Cochran's office. Like what?
Yeah, and like also like with Coach Shaw, like, so he only made, so she said she was spending $50,000, I think, right, on glamour, like the rest, whatever it was, like $50,000 a month to keep the house running. He can't, I mean, say he makes $300,000, right, as a coordinator. $50,000's going out. What did he think? All that other money, I'm sure, with how much the chalet was. Where did he? I mean, I know she had to make some type of money, but how much money did he really think she was making to support all of that? It couldn't have been just off of her.
Plus 18 assistants. She takes care of a whole bunch of family members. Like, where is all of that money coming from?
And then the Uber driver who, I mean, now I guess apparently all this affair stuff going on, he's probably hearing that as well. I mean, if she was having an affair, I mean, does he believe that? I mean, at this point, like, what was he also filing for divorce for? Or he was going to file for separation before this all went down.
Is the Uber driver the same guy that Whitney brought up about that's why Meredith is so pissed off at Jennifer Shaw, because she hooked up with the same guy that she was fucking around on Seth with? Well, she technically wasn't cheating on Seth. They were separated. We actually saw it, so it's not like, whatever. If that was the same time, because last season they were saying, well, she's been seeing this dude the whole time. She's been saying it. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, that just clicked in my head. An Uber driver?
Well, Jen Shaw. All right. So apparently, when she left Heather's, this is Jen Shaw. Like, I don't know, it was a couple episodes in. She said one night Heather she put Jen in the Uber into an Uber to go home. she saw on her phone the Uber
I
driver
remember that.
dropped her off like a block away or something. So she didn't
And she
confront
got
her
in another
about it.
car somewhere. Yeah.
Now we find out the Uber driver comes forward to some podcast or some reality person and came and said like, no, she was going. I dropped her. Said basically where she was going. It was definitely an affair situation. And then now all this other stuff comes out, like maybe Meredith and Jen were sleeping with the same person in New York, and like all the stuff about affairs is coming around. So it's like there's smoke and fire. There's, you know what I mean? There's smoke with this Uber driver coming out. Nobody
And Meredith
her.
and Meredith dropped a couple sticks on the fire because when Whitney asked her straight up, "Is this about that guy?"
Yeah.
Meredith did not give a straight answer. She was like, "Well, let's just say she's done some questionable things."
You know what?
Like, girl, what does that mean?
And if you're throwing people into the bus and saying they're not going to memorials, why aren't you? There's got to be something. And if there's something going on with an affairs, obviously you're all must be, and Jen Shaw must be involved in some type of affair thing with Meredith. Something has to be true with that because she's not coming out and throwing her completely under the bus because there's got to be some involvement in there. Like if you're going to be messy, why aren't you're going to say that she's having an affair with the same person, but
because she probably doesn't
dancing around it.
Meredith will probably never admit that because she was probably sleeping with this dude before her and said actually separated.
And
Or she was probably still sleeping with him after they got back together.
And if Jen Shaw
So the
wasn't doing
timelines
anything,
may not add up.
but if Jen Shaw isn't sleeping with anybody, and she would be like, Meredith sleeping with blah, blah, blah. She would be naming names. She would be throwing like, you slept with this person, that person. It seems like they all know about something, and it might be something that is known to the whole group, and it's not a secret, but maybe they're not talking about it. Or I don't know, maybe why it's not being brought up. I mean, because at this point, it's like, what is all this? You're accusing her sleeping with all these. Lisa says, she slept with all of New York.
She had 10 boyfriends.
Yeah, they're sharing people. Jen and Shaw. Meredith apparently had an affair with the same man. The Uber driver knows that Jen Shaw got dropped off at a person's house, and then he went back and picked her up a couple hours later. Definitely, she actually asked the Uber driver to call her husband and lie to him and say that they were going to be out, like she was with her assistant even longer. And the Uber driver said, "I'm not doing that. I'm not getting that involved in your life." It's this crazy information that her husband's hearing, and it's like like you said, what's going on? Because like not only he's one thing, but they do have kids, and that are also seeing this. They're not stupid either. Like I'm sure they're thinking like, this sounds bad, mom. This sounds real bad for you. Like 98% conviction rate, mom. Come on, like.
I made a video. One of the last videos I made, I think it was the last video that I made recapping an episode of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It's the only video that I can clearly remember making about this show. It was the video where I was talking about how Jennifer Shaw is affecting her son. And I inserted clips from the show of him reacting to her while he was talking. That boy looks so checked out and so just detached from everything that was going on in that situation. Like, I am so worried about her kids because Omar is older. Like, he's damn near grown, or at least he looked damn near grown. I don't know how old he is. Child, he could be 15 and he looked like he's 22. So
yeah, it doesn't. It blows my mind. Like, I wonder if she ever thought that she would get caught, and how long did she think this could go on? You know what I mean? Like, the longer this was going on, the longer, like, did it ever cross her mind to stop doing it because, you could get in trouble? Like, I don't know. I wonder, like, what was her thought process? What was the end game? Did you plan just to go to prison? Were you going to do this forever until you got caught? Did your husband and your kids ever? It's like, I wonder where was her end game? And I guess I don't think we'll ever even know. It's like, but it's hard to put yourself and try to think what she was thinking because we can't fathom even that. Like, it boggles. I don't know what possible, if there's any percentage that she's not guilty. I can't think of how that could possibly be. I just can't. Because why did you make up shell companies? Why did you why were you cleaning, like why were you hiding money? You know what I mean? Why were you
When you
doing other
found out that people were getting prosecuted and taken down, why did you move from sending text messages to using Telegram?
right?
Because it's more encrypted. Like,
Why'd you move this way if you weren't, you know what I mean? It's like you
like
moved
why were you moving this way if you weren't doing anything sketchy?
and it's like you're going up against
And
so
then on top
many.
of that, what makes it the most eerie part of all of this, the most eerie and just the, the this is one of the most accurate forms of foreshadowing I've ever seen in my life. Jennifer Shaw is the one that said, Teresa Giudice walked so that I could run. Think
Oh,
about that.
did she? Like meaning
Think
she
about
paved
that.
the way, yeah. And like we thought that was like crazy. That when I was going down, I was like, man, that's crazy. Like I feel so bad for Teresa Giudice. Like,
That
you
was
know,
heart wrenching. Like
yeah.
that's the difference. Like when Teresa was going through her stuff, we genuinely felt bad for her. Like we were
Hmm.
like, whoa, how could Joe do this to her?
Right.
Like she's gonna go to prison behind the like no, like we genuinely
Felt
felt for
that.
her.
Felt that.
Everybody else that's had a court case since then, we were like, that bitch is guilty. She looked guilty. She don't look like she thinks she guilty, but the heifer
Uh-huh.
is guilty. Like I don't know what y'all think this is. Now, I have a question.
Hmm.
If Jennifer Shaw goes to prison, do y'all think that they're gonna pause production for her like they did Teresa, or do y'all think that they're just gonna drag in a new girl?
Huh. Now, probably not pause production. I would think no, because Teresa was going to come back. She only had 13 months or so.
Mhm.
So
But that's
I
a
didn't
whole season that they just didn't film.
I didn't realize that. They didn't film. I didn't
They
realize
didn't
that.
film for 13 plus months. Like there
I
was
mean,
just
that's
no
going to
season.
be, it's probably, if she's guilty, it's probably going to be 5 to 10 years at least. So probably
Like
not.
I
But
don't think that Jennifer Shaw has Teresa um
power.
Judice clout, and she damn sure don't have Caroline Stansberry clout. I'm
So it's
sorry.
Hmm.
so Jen Shaw, if this were just the charges themselves,
Hmm.
I think it's 12 years without aggravating factors. But you have to remember that they specifically targeted people who are over the age of 55, which in the eyes of the criminal court for federal cases makes there an aggravating factor number one, which increases the sentencing. Natalie Lawyer Chick on YouTube did a whole breakdown as well about what the sentencing guidelines could potentially be. And she estimated that it's likely Jen Shaw is going to get a minimum of 17 years.
Wow.
God. Oh,
And that's
oh
if she's
my
convicted on
God.
every count.
And
It's a
that's what
minimum of 17 years because there are numerous aggregating factors. Now,
Oh, that made my boobs hurt.
some of the factors are duplicate. So if she's convicted of one, she can't be convicted of the other, which means that
Oh,
one might drop out. But
so she
at the
may
same
cancel some of
time,
them
she
out.
might get concurrent sentences, which are, okay, you get 5 years and 5 years, but they're served at the same time. So it wouldn't actually be 10 years. But that's at the discretion of the court.
That
And yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, they planned shooting this entire season with two focuses, and
Yeah.
that is Jen Shaw's trial and Mary Cosby's cult. Mary
yep.
Cosby quit. Jen Shaw, her trial could potentially get pushed off. We're
Right.
not going to sit here and be all focused on this for yet another season when that was the focus of last season. So I honestly, I mean, I'm just going to say it, like, I don't care enough about Jen Shaw to watch another season of this at
Well,
all.
I hope
I
that
don't
they
care.
focus. I mean, I would hope once she goes to trial. I don't know. So wait, so they're filming, right? So we know that they started filming, and they're in like what right now? They just started filming. So
Yeah,
they're
they
filming
just
right
started
now.
filming. Yeah,
Correct.
last week, I
March is
think.
right around the corner.
So
She's going to go into her trial.
Dr. M said 17
Yeah.
year minimum. That's an entire childhood. Her children
Right.
are all teenagers. So by
I
the
was about
time,
to say,
if
aren't all of
she
her
gets
kids
the
teenagers?
maximum, Jen Shaw's children will be my age when they get out.
I mean,
I'm in my late 30s. Her
Just think
children
about
will
that.
be
I
my
know.
age when
I
she
think
gets out.
If she gets all 17 years, by the time
it's hard.
she gets out, my daughter will be 34.
See, when she's on there and she's saying, "I'm gonna miss Omar's, I'm gonna miss this stuff."
She will
Why
be
wasn't
older than I am now. By the
she?
time
Yeah, like she didn't think about any of this. I don't understand, like where her head was at.
24, sorry.
I mean, she's not. This is like she's really going to be away from her family for a long time with this attitude. And I don't even. I said the Alfred plea before, but if Kristen's right, she can't even change her plea. So an Alfred plea wouldn't even help her at this point either. Which is where they would say, I have so much evidence there's too much evidence to convict me, but I don't have to admit guilt. And
That's it. I am not an attorney, so I am
Right.
only I'm relaying information
Right.
that other attorneys who have talked about this, both on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, like the Bravo docket has talked about this on their podcast. Emily D. Baker, Natalie Lawyer Chick, Uncivil Law. Sure right. I think Nate the lawyer talked about it in a live. I mean, Viva La Fry has talked about it on a live stream. Like there's quite a few lawyers on YouTube who have openly discussed the case. Some of them are focused on it, some of them are not. But at the same time, so I'm relaying information that these attorneys have talked about, and it is honestly I'm sorry, I just read Joe Mendoza. Bravo should pause production and rethink casting. Joe, I don't think that Bravo can afford to pause anything. They are desperate for viewers and desperate for dollars at this point. I think that all of us should look at Bravo as a sinking ship. And the fact that Andy Cohen just got his 2-year contract for Watch What Happens Live, to me, that is the trajectory for NBC Universal to fold Bravo. So I do not believe that Bravo will be in its current iteration as a network 2 years from now. I think that Bravo will become NBC's production company. That's my theory.
So you think that Bravo was entering its era of completion, if you will?
Era of completion.
Yes. And I think that Andy Cohen needs to be aware of the fact that contracts get canceled all the time, and he's replaceable.
He should be more aware of that than anybody else, don't you think?
Is so valuable that they can't be replaced.
Well, that's another thing too. Like, so if Andy Cohen, so he can lose his contract. I don't think he cares really. I don't think he really, for some reason, after New Year's Eve, when he realized that he can get away with whatever, I don't think he's that worried about his contract. But I think as far as like Bravo, like they're not going to pause production. They might. Her trial's like going to be dead set into this filming. If they just started filming last week, I mean, how much can they really? I mean, they're going to cover, but they can't probably go in the trial. You know what I mean? Like, so they're not
going to let that happen. There's no way. The most they're going to see is her.
Adam, no way. We need Kim Power to replace Andy. We need Kim Power to replace Andy. We have enough gay white men who are leading things at Bravo. It's time for us to bring in somebody who can provide a non-white perspective, because the way that Bravo has treated people of color is despicable.
Yeah.
I have had enough white people in power at this network making horrific decisions about women and minorities.
Yeah, because I don't want to host the reunions. I already pitched myself for a job at Bravo. I want to be the cultural curator for all things inclusion and awareness at Bravo and NBC.
I want literally the questions that we want answered, like these, like literally questions that are like we really want answered, and like literally Andy will not ask them. He on Watch What Happens Live, when he puts that thing out and says ask the questions, and you said he never follows it. He literally, I think he has those questions before the show, because if you notice, he'll ask one person and he'll have the people call in, but I think the questions are like the ones he has made up, because there's times that we've called in and he will not read the questions, and they're like pretty straightforward questions, like to ask Erica or to ask Brenda or to ask somebody from the cast, you know what I mean? So I think that I
don't really care about what their favorite color is, or their favorite meal, or their favorite vacation, which is the depth that he's pretty much willing to go. And Coffee Buzz, I have a suggestion. I'm currently eating caramel corn. That's why I keep muting myself. So I think that you should go get yourself some caramel corn since you're hungry.
All right. So now they've lost now 3 cast members. So now they have to replace basically probably 3 people, right? And because now, all right. So now that Jenny Wynn's gone, did they just cut her? So she's gone. So there's 2. So how are they still filming? They're down 2 people. They must have
they're in casting
Whitney.
now.
Okay, so they're
Whitney, Heather, Meredith, Lisa.
And they must have friends and stuff, right?
Maybe they dug up Angie Harrington from somewhere. Maybe they done found her down to the Mexican restaurant. Maybe they'll ask the owner of the Mexican restaurant.
What about what was the chick's name that was at the restaurant with Lisa? That wasn't Angie, but the chick that walked up to the table with Angie. With
that's
Whitney.
who I'm talking about.
Yeah, what's her name? Was it? That's not Angie.
I can't remember, but that's the owner of the restaurant, the one that canceled on Angie. That's who. Go get her. What's she doing? Go get her and Angie and just have them battle it out till y'all find somebody that we actually gonna want to watch.
So, do we agree that literally, Meredith, these people are not her friends? How could they be? How could they?
I don't even think they're each other's friends. I think the only people who are real friends on this show
are you guys?
Is Heather is a real friend to Jennifer, and Bad Weather are the best thing since the Weather Girls.
Right.
Let me just say this, but are you guys, or maybe this is just me, I am over these shows bringing these women on and then pretending that they have friendships that go back years and years. Let's stop doing this. No, hold on, let me finish. Let's stop doing this. Introduce them as a group on the show. Let them break the 4th wall, because all of us love to see that when they actually engage with the camera, like the cast on Miami who looked to camera, and Gertie when she rolled her eyes at the camera. That's perfect. I love that. Let's see that. And let's see them build friendships on the shows. Let's watch them build each other up. Let's watch these women be funny and silly. Let them get drunk if they want to. Let them go party if they want to. Let us see the excess and the wealth that all of us really enjoy. Let's do that, and let's make it entertaining, and let's stop having these shows pretend that these women are friends when they clearly are not, and then destroy each other's reputations. And when that doesn't work, attack the spouses, attack the children. I'm done with the criminals. I'm done with the bigotry that is displayed towards any number of people. I'm done with it. I am not going to watch Beverly Hills until Erica and Lisa are gone. I am not watching New York until Ramona is gone.
Sharon Donna Summer.
I am done watching these shows that are honestly, they are so dark and so heavy. If I want that stuff, I'll watch Law and Order. I'm not going to watch reality TV.
Ultimate Girls Trip, that was something they were breaking the 4th wall a little bit. They were actually new friendships, and they worked it out in the end. And I was thinking it was going to be the worst show ever. I thought it was going to be they were going to clown them and make them seem like it was a joke that they were cast off.
They all just really knew each other, and they all were got together for brunch on the weekends, and they just happened to go on a girl trip. That would have been so funny to me.
But they actually were I enjoyed it, and it was that's what I would like. And Miami, I'm enjoying Miami.
Right.
Because
the only show that we have actually seen the women meet each other and then build friendships is the building of the Fox News 5 on Beverly Hills. They all met on the show, and they built a friendship on the show. We watched it over the years, and that's fine, except for the fact that they protect each other at the expense of anyone else. It's us versus that one. And I don't want the mean girl high school antics. I am a grown woman. I have moved past that in my life, and I do not want to watch that. I am happy that these shows give middle-aged women a platform where once middle-aged women were shut out past the age of 35. And I am so glad that we have shows that allow women to find success at when they have reached maturity as an adult. And I am grateful for that. But I don't want to watch women destroy each other for entertainment. And I'm tired of seeing them exploited and have to tolerate insanely hostile work environments
Mhm.
because, and you know, Andy Cohen wants another $10 million added to his annual salary.
But Andy doesn't. But everybody thinks that Andy has a lot more power than he does. He really doesn't have that much power. He really doesn't. Like, he has say in who gets hired and stuff, but like we
Come
have to
on,
do
Mariah Hubb. I may not have power, but I have
right
influence.
now.
Ooh, that backfired
Let's
on
switch
her
gears
ass.
a little bit. Like, all right, because now I said something about like with Teddy and Noella. Now,
I have a
apparently,
question really quick about
go
Teddy.
ahead.
Outside of All In allegedly being really sketchy, why did everybody hate Teddy? Because I liked her.
I don't think they hated her. It's just she was really sweet in the beginning, and she seemed like she was getting along with everyone, and she was cool. And then she came on last season, and she's not the mean girl type. Like, it's weird to see her. Like, watching her and Kyle be mean is odd because they're not mean girls. So they don't have that in them. So when they put them in that position to be a mean girl and be messy, it looks weird and strange. It didn't even make really sense when they were going at Denise. So when I think people were just like, they were annoyed by her because they tried to do it with Lisa Vanderpump the season prior, or I'm sorry, with Dorit with the puppy gate, and Teddy messed that all up. And then the season comes, they try to do it with Denise, and her going at Denise about the whole the Brandy thing. It was weird. It just, like, her doing that. It should have been coming from like Lisa Rinna, somebody that really had a actual like investment and was friends with Denise and actually
That
cared.
should have came from Garcelle then, because Renna did not give a good goddamn. She just knew her. But you got to remember, these women are actresses and they are Hollywood friends. Like, these women have probably been to the same parties for 20 years, but they probably have not been friends. Now, mind you,
Right.
according to Denise, she was saying, like, when she was going through her things with, Charlie, she confided in,
Right.
she probably did, because they were probably working around the same places at the same time. They were probably running in the same circles.
Yeah.
So they were probably meeting up with each other, and she probably thought that she could confide in Lisa. But according to Lisa, I feel like Lisa was just at the same party with Denise all these years, and Garcelle was genuinely friends with Denise for 20 years. Because that's why her coming on the next season and being like, you are such a bitch to her. Why did you do that? Like, that's not cool. It made perfect sense to me, because that's her real friend. Like I sat here and watched you do this to this girl for a whole reason. And mind you, if Garcelle and Denise and Renna have all really been friends that long, she's seen Lisa act a completely different way towards Denise for the past 20 years than we've seen her act for the past 12 months on camera. So it made total sense. A lot of people were questioning Garcelle as like she was being Captain Save-A-Ho for Denise. And I was like, no, that's your real friend. This is the definition. This is what people mean when they say, if you're my real friend, defend me when I'm not there.
Exactly.
That's what that means, because Denise was nowhere to be found. She was somewhere in Malibu minding her blonde ass business, and Garcelle was there holding her down because that was her real friend. And if you're gonna sit here and say that you were her real friend for 20 years, then explain to me how that could happen. Do I think she drug out being mad at Lisa a little bit too long based on the issue with Denise? Yes. You held Denise's grudge a little too long against her. I'm sorry. You ain't even got your own beef with her for real, but you mad at her about Denise. That grown ass woman is not studying you or her.
Well, hold on, wait. I'm gonna defend that. I think we all need to be aware that we may watch this over the course of 6 months, but they only film for 12 weeks.
Right.
So when she's defending Denise, she's defending her, I mean, like, just a few months after the altercation. I mean, we're talking like they filmed the reunion and then they jumped right back into filming. So we're because of everything that's been going on. So I see that basically Garcelle not seeing, Lisa Rinna because of the fact that they don't hang out with each other because they're not real friends, and especially after that season. So the next time they see each other, all right, is for filming. And Garcelle is like, okay, I have 12 weeks. So if I'm going to get the chance to confront you on this, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what happened is Lisa Rinna forced her own apology on Garcelle. And yet she said, well, I'm going to take my time to actually apologize to Denise. And that was I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say it right now. That was one of the most racist apologies I have ever seen in my entire life. 100%. She physically forced that apology. I mean, physically forced that apology. And the fact that Andy Cohen, who is the executive producer of Beverly Hills, was sitting right there and said nothing and did nothing to protect his employees, especially Garcelle, who was the only one who was targeted by them in that manner. And he allowed his employees to racially abuse another of his employees, and he did absolutely nothing to protect her. And that was his role, because he's their boss.
Look at who we're talking about. If someone does not have the awareness or the mental capacity to actually be racially aware, they're not going to think to do that. I guarantee you, he watched all of this happen, and the words he's probably never even said the words racial abuse before. I guarantee you, he's never heard this concept.
Yeah, he was going hard. He's like, he goes hard for Lisa Rinna, and I don't freaking understand it, because it was one of those clearly Garcelle sees what's right and wrong, and Garcelle was I'm glad that she said what she said there, and I'm glad that she held it, and I'm glad she did it on camera, because Lisa tried to bring her friend down on camera. Then you literally she defended her on camera and made Lisa admit that it was wrong. And she said, basically, we will see. Like, I'm not going to, we can be cool, but I'm not going to give you the gun to shoot me with. She doesn't have to be her friend and forgive her. She forced that on her. Like she said, so uncomfortable watching that. Forcing that.
I completely get that. I think for me, it was like by the end of the season, mind you, where I think it was 12 weeks, so whatever, blah, blah, blah. I felt like she really got it out when she forced the apology on her. That response was brilliant. She sat there and let Lisa call herself a see you next Tuesday, call herself everything in the book, and all she said was, I don't disagree.
Right. And what did she say to her too? Like,
and then the next time when she was like, "It's gonna take time. I still don't trust you yet." I think the one time that was too much for me was at the finale when she was like, "Maybe you should call Denise." Like, has Denise expressed her wanting to reconcile with Rinna? Because now it just feels like, girl, if you gonna stay mad at her, just admit you don't trust her. You don't fuck with her like that, and it is what it is. But it's because of what you did to Denise that now I see you in a whole different light. But like,
and her blind.
By the end of that 12 weeks, I just didn't think that this was solely about Denise at this point. Like I was like, girl, okay, like you've defended Denise, but I think I don't think that Denise wants to hear from Rinna.
No,
and I don't think that Denise wants Garcelle to facilitate a reconciliation between the two of them either.
And I think that Lisa Rinna saw how wrongly she was defending Erica that whole time, and she's also seen a pattern of her, like, it's not like she came after. She was not defending Garcelle either. Like Garcelle, I think Dorit came for Garcelle a little bit, and like she kept trying to reach, and it's like, you know what? Like, this is wrong. Like, you guys are like literally wrong. And like they're literally blindly defending. And she saw her doing that again. The same thing. She didn't come to Denise's defense. And here she is aligning with somebody that's going after the rest of the group.
But Lisa Rinna's problem is she spent all last season trying to fuck with Sutton. And what she was really doing was exploiting her friends' issues. Like at that dinner party when she had the bell and was like, we're gonna go around and say one thing that we need to say, starting with Sutton, knowing everything that she needed to say had to do with Erica. If that was your real friend and you were gonna sit here and blindly defend her, why would you keep bringing up her legal case that she technically can't even really elaborate on camera? Why would you come and say, and even outside of a production standpoint, as a friend, why would you force someone to sit and experience and relive all the trauma that they already have to deal with off camera and when they're not around you bitches? Why would you bring that into their workplace where it is common practice for that pain and that trauma to be exploited for ratings? That it felt like she was trying to set up Sutton, and Erica was just a casualty. Like
Yeah.
what she really did was exploit Erica's story while she was trying to take down Sutton.
Mm-hmm. And then too, like with Teddy too. Now imagine Teddy was aligned with Rinna, and she was doing the same thing. So now she doesn't even know Denise like that. So people are saying, yeah, Rinna can, Rinna might have every little, like, who knows what's going on. They have a long friendship, but you see Teddy, who doesn't know and either of these people, and she's acting just like Rinna is, and people are looking at it like, where did you come from? Like, we don't even know, like, nobody has whatever you say does not matter. And I think a lot of people are like, she's annoying. It's just annoying. Sit down and shut up. It's not even your game. Like, and I think that's where people were like, she became off extremely thirsty, almost as bad as Rinna. But, you have to think with Rinna, maybe there's something we don't know because they've been friends for so long. With Teddy, you can't even figure it out. Why are you going so hard? Like, what do you care about Denise and Brandy, Teddy? You don't.
Where did this relationship with Rinna go left? And by relationship, I mean her relationship with the viewers. Because when Lisa Rinna came on,
probably last season,
it was great.
Denise, because she attacked Denise for defending her children from the women openly discussing having threesomes in front of her teenagers.
I think, yeah.
Where it started for me? Where it started for me was the moment she said that Kim Richards is close to death.
When did she say that?
That's where I immediately, she said that a few seasons ago when Kim was still on the show, and she said it to Dorit, maybe? She said it to somebody, and she was like, you said that she's close to death. And then when Kyle confronted her about it, she said that she couldn't remember, and then at the reunion, it was played. Where she deliberately said verbatim, she's not sober, and she's close to death.
It was that Sassoon chick. The Sassoon, the girl that came in, she was with her.
Sassoon.
Yep.
Her.
He said it to her.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember that.
It was from that moment I started looking at her differently because, when Rinna first came on, she played the Housewives game too, but she played it like Whitney, and I enjoyed it. Like, she knew what she was walking into. She knew how to make a TV show. She kind of like knew how to play the game, right?
Yep. Yeah,
okay, I mean, maybe I'm just mean-spirited and everything, but I don't give two shits about Lisa Rinna. I don't give two shits about Kyle Richard. I don't care about Kathy Hilton. I don't care. I don't want to see them anymore. Get rid of Erica Girardi. Get rid of them. I don't care. You can keep Dorit. She's fine. Whatever. She's boring, but keep Dorit. She's living a fabulous life and wants to strut around in Louis Vuitton head to toe. Fine. Keep Dorit. Keep Garcelle. We have Cherie. They just brought in, this Diana Jenkins, and she seems to be clashing with people. That's fine. But if we're getting our drama from then get rid of the boring bitches. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I don't want to see them anymore. And I don't care what they're up to anymore. Kyle can throw as many white parties as she wants. I don't want to watch her 50-year-old ass doing the splits at a party anymore. I'm done. I'm over it. Let's all move on with our lives because Beverly Hills has aged out.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, this entire franchise as a concept has aged out. If you want to be real about it, because I could watch Garcelle do something else. I could watch
Jack and Diane
do something else. I could watch any of these bitches do something else. Like, I don't need to watch the people that I like on these reality shows. Here's the thing. Most of the people who I like on these reality shows have other jobs. Garcelle is on The Real. Cherie has her own moisturizer company. And Ebony K. Williams has a podcast and a TV show. Like, I don't have to watch my favorite housewives on
I have said it.
According to
hold on. I have said it for months. Jordan has heard me say it. I know she said she would never consider it. I don't care. I'm going to say it again. I want Adrienne Houghton on Real Housewives of New York. I know she loves being on The Real, and that's fine.
She would never do it.
I know she has said she would never do it, but I don't care. I would love, if you know what? Can you imagine her with Ramona?
I don't think Ramona's coming back though.
No, but I'm just saying, picture it. Well, picture Adrienne with Ramona. Picture it. Adrienne Houghton like for people who aren't aware, Adrienne Houghton, she was Adrienne Bailon. We've all seen her on reality TV when she was dating Rob Kardashian.
No,
she was
Adrienne,
a cheetah girl.
And she also had her own reality show with Julissa called Empire Girls on the Style Network.
Yeah, she was a cheetah girl.
And she has a very, very successful YouTube channel. She does. She's bi-coastal. She lives the fabulous life. She doesn't really like engage in nastiness because her faith is very important to her.
Right?
I honestly, I would love it. I would love her to do it.
Well, you're talking about
That's why I don't think she'd ever do it, because Empire Girls was her and Julissa's vehicle. Like, they created that show, they pitched it, they got it to air, right? When I think after the whole Rob Kardashian thing, I don't think she'll ever go back on reality TV. And also, I think she's in a completely different place now where her faith is so important to her and she's so open about it now. I think she's like, y'all not setting me up on Real Housewives. Y'all not setting me up for the Real Housewives.
But that's the thing
might
too.
Be able to sway her. Fingers crossed.
Well, fine. But if you know what, I bet you, I know how we could do it. Cast her sister too, because her sister is in New York, and so is Adrienne. Bring the two sisters on. You know what? New York is an insanely diverse place. Southern California is an insanely diverse place. We have all these cities that are full of these amazing, amazing people, and yet the demographics are as pale as the driven snow. And I mean, it's like, come on.
Well, I'm so
because there's no diversity in the boardroom, and that's the problem. We have all
that's
this
not true though. The CEO of NBC Universal is a black woman.
Okay.
So
but you think she's really going around and going to each production company at each Housewives show and being like, y'all need to hire more diverse, more.
Leah Remini lives in California, Joe.
People. I know. I thought we were talking about California, guys.
How many times have, how many years has she been the CFO at the thing? See, having the person in power is not the same as having them in the boardroom.
Right.
She's the CEO. She's not in each of these production meetings. Like, she's not where the diversity needs to be is in these production companies. Her focus is probably just putting these shows on air, greenlighting this,
That's very true, because they hire casting agencies in order to cast the shows.
And all of these shows are produced by different production companies.
Well, I mean, like, for example, I'm just gonna, you guys, I mean, everybody knows right by now that despite all of its issues, I loved Real Housewives. I love Real Housewives of Dallas. I'm from Texas, so I love that show. I did not like, obviously, y'all know what I don't like. Right. So, but let me just say this. One of the things that got said was that Bravo is a company that is based out of New York. It was produced by Goodbye Productions, which is based out of California. So why are we having a production company from California and a network from New York City produce a show in Texas and expect that they're going to portray it accurately, expect that they're going to be able to actually interpret things accurately? And I think that that's where we've started to see a lot of the issues, like with, Salt Lake City, like that we've seen with Atlanta, like we have seen with Potomac even. We are seeing so many of these shows that they are not, that they are, we might see diversity on the screen, but we're not seeing diversity behind the camera. And that
I
really
have to disagree with Atlanta, because for me, some of the most problematic moments that I had a problem with on the Real Housewives of Atlanta was when Carlos King was at the helm.
That's true. You did point that out to me the other day, and I actually did a little bit of research after that.
That's the one season that I have to disagree with, because some of the most problematic situations that have happened. You accused me of being a fucking rapist. Carlos King produced that season. The pillow fight season. I believe Carlos King was still producing that season. Like, the whole Apollo thing with, Phaedra, when we thought that it was about to give her a fucking lobotomy in the garage. Carlos King, he had that production style of just springing people on his cast members. I don't think that's protecting your talent. If you're springing Candy's baby daddy, who she don't have a good relationship with, who is not paying child support, why would you bring him on camera if he doesn't even have a relationship with his daughter?
Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry to do this, but I only have about 15 more minutes before I have to go.
That's why I was like trying to like wheel back in. I'm like, I forgot where we were at. But
do you want me to jump in about what we talked about regarding OC?
well, I mean, yeah, because like let's think about like what I was talking about with Teddy. She literally, according to her, you're losing at life if you get kicked off the Housewives and you get a podcast. So that's when you know you're losing at life. According to Noella, according to Noella, she said that about Teddy, that she'll know I'm losing in life because like they were like calling her out and saying, tell her to chill out and all.
Okay, I despise Noella, but I'm just gonna say this right now. Those women did not choose to do a podcast because they wanted to be podcasters. They did a podcast as a last resort to stay in the public eye because they got fired because they want to be housewives. If they invited them back tomorrow, they would shut that podcast down and go rejoin the shows. So while I think that Noella's comment was mean girl and shady and judgmental, she does have a point.
She has a point, but I'm saying she has a point. But Heather's not a loser. You know what I mean? She can't really
Heather.
Yeah.
Like Heather, Garcelle has a podcast. Ebony has a podcast.
I'm not saying that she was about all of the podcasts. I'm not saying that at all. She was specifically referring to Tamra Judge and Teddy Mellencamp and Brandi Glanville.
And that's why
when Brandi Glanville responded, Noella's comment to that was that she would fuck her.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
What?
Like, you're sitting here making a direct statement with a generalized comment that doesn't make any sense, and you expect somebody to really take what you're saying seriously, because you're saying you're losing in life when you get fired off a show or when you leave the show and do a podcast.
Yeah, when she said that, she was talking about Tamra Judge
with the podcast. Sure, but
she was talking about Tamra Judge, and then Tamra and Teddy talked about it on the podcast, and then they tagged Brandi Glanville as well in social media. Brandi Glanville said something about it on social media, and someone asked Noella about it, and her response was to say that that she would sleep with Brandi Glanville. Right. And it's just
like now
I don't want an STD on my screen either.
Right. Now after the episodes, what we were going into, Kristen, we watched it, or you go to the podcast. Now Heather goes and she explains what and negates everything that Noella, like all the things that Noella tries to make Heather look pretentious and all that. And at the podcast, Heather straightens it out, and that's why she was going to say, "Do you want me to talk about that?"
Yeah, I can. I'm going to start with the most recent episode. That Heather did on her podcast. Okay, so if you guys haven't listened to Heather Dubrow's World, it is fantastic. I highly recommend it. It is a panel of Heather Dubrow and two other people. I can't remember her last name, but her first name is Mandy. And then the other is Jefferson Ellison. So Heather Dubrow, obviously, she's a woman in her 50s. She's a Jewish woman from New York. Jefferson Ellison is a Black gay man who I think he lives in South Carolina, but don't quote me on it. And Mandy, I believe, is a Latina who lives in California. Again, I think she's in Los Angeles. Yes. Okay. So the three of them actually watch the episode, when it premieres, and then, or potentially watch it and tape the podcast, and then they break it down. And Heather provides context, and the others provide commentary. Right. So they'll say, and Heather doesn't say agree with me, because they do disagree with her. She says, "Well, what did you think?" And then they tell her what they think, and then Heather says, "Okay, now let me tell you what happened around the scene that you saw." So it's actually quite nice to see or to listen to. Yeah. I will say that so for example, if you guys watch the episode with, Noella showing up to Heather's house and then calling her a narcissist while sitting in Heather's studio. So basically, what everyone needs to be aware of is that when she called Heather a narcissist, that was, I believe, only their fourth or fifth meeting ever. Right. That was only the fourth or fifth time they had ever met.
Like,
The
this is
first
everything that
time they
Heather
met,
tells you.
the
Yeah,
first
this is
time they
everything.
met was at lunch. Noella got drunk. Then at the party that turned into the fiasco.
Mhm.
The next time that they were together, she called Heather a fake bitch.
Mhm.
They had the thing at the studio. They had the party for Heather's daughter. All of that. Okay.
Right.
So that's the most recent
Right.
episode on the podcast that gets broken down. It was a double episode,
Yeah.
actually. So she
Well,
was
tell us what,
breaking
like, tell
down
us.
two episodes of the
Mhm.
show on one episode of the podcast.
Mhm.
Now,
Did anybody
Heather,
ask her? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did
so
anybody
Heather
ask her?
talks about how that, you know, like she's literally hardly even interacted with Noella and
Right.
never one-on-one until they were sitting in her studio.
Mhm.
And Noella tells her how she's a narcissist and points around the studio.
Mhm.
Keep in mind, that's where Heather films her podcast.
Right.
So it's branded for her podcast.
Right.
Just like Krista, we're looking at you right now doing your YouTube channel, and your name is on the back wall.
Yeah, but tell them what she
Fucking
said though
narcissist.
about why Noella, the way she was acting, like exactly what Noella, like explain to them, like exactly what the hell, how screwed up Noella has it compared to what Heather's story is. Because I think we're, you know what I mean, like because we're in the Cabo, we're already at the Cabo one. Because didn't she talk about Cabo already on her podcast?
Yeah, she did. She did. She talked about she talked about the Cabo.
And tell them, yeah.
So okay, so basically they were Heather had sent Noella a text message to say, I am, filming for Shop HQ, and I'd like you to come by and I will fit you in between sessions. And Noella showed up late, and Heather was in the midst of filming, so she was actually constantly like saying, asking the producers, like, is she here yet? Is she here yet? Well, when Noella got there, because of the fact that she was late, they were filming, so they had her wait outside because they were filming. So she had to wait outside until they finished, and then she brought her inside, and they had their confrontation and everything else. And Noella says that, oh gosh, I just literally moved my notes and now I've lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. So where did oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Okay.
She invited Noella in, and she invited Noella in after they were filming. She was late. And then.
Oh, right.
The infomercials one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
so she invites Noella in, they sit down. Noella is going off on her, and Heather basically is, like, what the hell, and she is trying to, what?
She was like shocked because she was like, wasn't she telling her, like, I am filming an infomercial. I might be a little bit behind. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And she had told her that she was filming that day and she needed to fit her in. So, Noella and she has spun things and changed her story. She's, constantly, and like Emily Simpson just did an interview where she says how Noella has talked about Heather Dubrow like she's some sort of fan, and then in the next conversation she hates her, and then she's like loves her, she's so fabulous, and then she's a selfish bitch. And then Heather has the most beautiful sense of style, but then she's fake. Like, it's always this back and forth, and it's never consistent. There's none of the same energy, right. And I'm going to jump forward because like I said, I do have to go. So I'm going to jump forward to Cabo. All right. Heather did not intend on Noella going to Cabo. Obviously,
they should have rode that.
Obviously, production intended on it being a cast trip, and Heather, it had to relent at the, because of production. Basically, we don't see that, but we know that. Okay. They had their flight down that got canceled at the last minute. So Heather had to charter a jet, which is why it seems like such a dinky plane. And they get down there, and they're texting, and all of a sudden there's no information from Noella. Then they find out that Noella tried to leave the country, but didn't bring her passport, which is so stinking ridiculous. And let me tell all of you why. My husband is active duty military. Everybody's heard me talk about this numerous times. He has flown internationally on Gulfstream jets, which are private planes, internationally. He's flown with diplomats and high levels of government, and he flies into those private terminals. You still have to have a passport. You still go through customs. Even when you go to Mexico, you still have to have an actual passport, and you have had to have it for the last 3 years.
Yeah, no, Heather cleared that up too on her podcast. She's like, she made sure. She's like, is that actually? Did she? Didn't she?
She talked about how
that was.
She talked about it. Yeah. About how that Noella tried to use her passport card, which your passport card is not a substitute for your passport. Your passport card is a form of identification.
Right.
It's a government issued identification card that you can use in a foreign country.
And we're thinking we believe her. And then you listen to Heather, and Heather's like, no.
Yeah. And so Noella is, has to, obviously all of her travel arrangements have to be changed. Well, then when Noella gets to Mexico, all right, she goes to the hotel, and basically they're all thinking, okay, she's here. Now, where is she? And they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting. And Noella's taken her sweet ass time so she can make an entrance, which is what Heather said.
In the situation.
Which is what Heather said. They sat at that restaurant, and Noella was right. None of them greeted her because she was late. Right. Okay, and not late by a little bit, late by hours. They had an itinerary for this trip. And Heather goes through the full itinerary. None of us saw it on camera, but they went through the whole itinerary. And Noella, is showing up to dinner, which they actually did wait to have dinner until Noella got there. And then she gets there and insults the host and the owner of the restaurant. And had she been on time, Noella would have known that the tequila that they were all the way they were doing the shots and all of those things.
Yeah.
All of us saw them at Javier's and, in OC where they had lunch. Javier introduced them to a different style of tequila shot. So when they were in Mexico, that's what they were doing, which is where you use, I believe it's an orange or maybe it's a tangerine, and you dip it in cinnamon, and then you take the shot and then you bite the fruit. So instead of a lime and salt, it's cinnamon on a piece of citrus fruit instead. And then you take the shot and you do it warm, because some tequila you shoot cold and some tequila you do it warm. And that was what they were doing.
Yeah.
That was what they were doing. And Noella was picking all of this apart.
And we saw it.
And had she shown up on time, had she not taken her sweet ass time, because when she landed in Mexico, she didn't go to the hotel, drop her bags, and then go straight to meet the girls. She changed, took a shower, got glam. She really she was there for hours.
Did she have glam in Cabo? How?
Because okay, I'm just gonna tell you right now. She goes glam everywhere.
So Noella brought glam with her?
I don't know if it was a whole team or if it was just one person, but she got glam at the hotel. Heather says it on the podcast.
You're squatting in your husband's house, but you can afford glam.
Well, it isn't her husband's house. It's a rental. She can't afford.
You're squatting in the rental house your husband's name is probably on the lease for. Because because if your name was on the lease, why would you just go and get it changed over to your name?
Okay, I want to address something that's in the chat right now. So Aaron D said, was Noella a super fan before she joined Housewives? The answer to that is 100%. Yes, she was. She befriended Bronwyn, and then Bronwyn took Noella with her on a housewives tour.
Right.
Noella actually shared photos of
Uh-huh.
herself with Bronwyn, with the housewives from other cities.
Right.
So,
Uh-huh.
and this was all way before she ever was
Right.
even in the running to join the show.
Right.
Now, after Bronwyn was let go and all of that went down and the show got paused while they reformatted, all right, Noella and her family moved to Puerto Rico. Once they moved to Puerto Rico, and it's on social media, Noella was talking with her fans about moving to Puerto Rico and all of this. When she found out that she had actually been chosen for the cast, her husband was in Puerto Rico. Noella flew back to California and took her children with her back to California, renewed the lease on the house, and then started filming the show. And at that point, Sweet James was like, I'm out. So they had formally moved to Puerto Rico, full on moved to Puerto Rico. Noella was only supposed to go back to California long enough to film the show. Again, it's only 12 weeks.
Right.
And she had said that Sweet James had told her, if you do this show, we're getting divorced. And she said, I'm doing the show. So for her to act like this whole Sweet James filing for divorce was a surprise, I think that she should have just rolled with, I'm surprised that he has tax issues. I'm not surprised that we getting divorced, but I'm surprised that we having tax issues. I didn't know his money was fucked up. What happened?
Yeah. She's got a whole nother boyfriend now. She's got a whole nother boyfriend. I don't know if he's rich, but I don't know. I just saw a whole thing.
Apparently, she started a romance with with a producer.
Oh, maybe that's who that is.
That whole I have a friend that I like to kiss is it's supposed to be one of the producers, which is just so distasteful, honestly. And I mean, in my opinion, I am.
Wait. I will say, even though Todd was not an official producer, he did work for the show.
Did he?
When they met.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Todd worked for the show when him and Candy met. He worked in like budgets and money and stuff like that. So when they went on the trip to Africa, that's when they met, and Phaedra was one of the people who helped to facilitate the meeting. And the whole reason that they got together, and then subsequently when he came on the show and her mama was saying that he broke and he using you with this, that, and the third, is because he quit working for Real Housewives of Atlanta to be with Candy because it was a conflict of interest.
Oh, so that wouldn't even, so they consider that a conflict. Okay.
Yeah, because you're working with somebody like you're dating somebody that you work with. Even if y'all aren't directly working together, like the stars of the show probably don't have a damn thing to do with the budgets, but because they work under the same umbrella, it's frowned upon.
So I wonder why she would date a producer too. So now then her producer person's going to have to, either she's going to stay on the show or her producer man's going to have to quit and not be the producer anymore, right? If they did,
or who's to say that he's not using her to get, because we all know that production sets the cast up.
Well, I mean, if
who's to say that this isn't, I mean, I don't know. And the only person who's talked about it is her, and she lies through her teeth every chance she gets. So
I would hope that she would not say that it was a producer unless it was serious, because Candy and Todd did not say anything about them dating until he quit the show.
Okay.
Like they waited till they got serious.
You guys, I found my place in the notes talking about all the different times that they met. So the time in the studio was the fourth time that they had met, which is when Noella called Heather a narcissist. And so that was only the fourth time that they had ever been around each other. The fifth time was Max's book party, which is when Noella gave a child a deck of cards that she purchased on Amazon. They're a Cards Against Humanity expansion pack. And anybody can go on Amazon and you can look at some of the photos of the cards themselves to see what they say. I think anybody who has a sex dungeon in their house knows that Cards Against Humanity is an adult game.
Well, I know. Yeah.
And I think that everybody, that's not a game that you play, with teenagers. That's a game you play with like your girlfriends at a bachelorette party it's not something that it's not appropriate in any way. And the cards were from the Pride expansion pack. And some of those cards say things like you should get, I'm going to use the other words because I don't want to hurt your channel.
People in the room, yeah.
But get your bum eaten, get your nub flicked, get your see you next Tuesday well used, things like that. And this is what she gave to a 17-year-old girl at a book party as a gift to open in front of her friends from her Catholic school. Heather does say on her podcast that when her daughter opened the gift, she did not say she was uncomfortable. She said she was confused. And Heather confiscated the gift quickly because she realized what it was and there were other children around.
Wow.
And she was very... Heather basically had to call and apologize to the other parents because this was a gift that was opened in front of, children.
Right.
So if I were, I'm a parent, I have teenagers. Well, actually my oldest is not a teenager anymore, but I have children. I have, more than one. And I'm just going to say right now that if an adult, one of my friends, or not friends necessarily, but one of my coworkers gave my child something like this and had only ever spoken to my child and tried to connect to my child about who they might have sex with. But I honestly would be so disturbed. Heather seemed to respond more like she just thought it was, extremely distasteful and inappropriate, bordering on pornographic. I, as a parent who has had someone, who was an adult interact with my own child in a way that was inappropriate. And not overtly sexual or anything like that, but at the same time asked questions or talked about subjects that were leading. I see that as extremely inappropriate. I see it as Noella went after Heather multiple times and none of it landed. And I honestly see it as she pivoted and went after Heather through her child in a way that could be seen as grooming, for lack of a better term.
I don't see any
very, very disturbing.
I don't see any way that I don't see any way for that to be okay. I just get in my head, any 37-something-year-old woman should never give a child anything. I don't care what somebody's daughter, anybody, them kind of cards with that.
Yeah, even the chat has said that some of them have seen it. That's what I mean. These cards.
It's there's no excuse on earth. I can't think of any excuse on earth that in her head where she thought that was okay.
I don't think she thought it was okay. I thought she could say, well, I didn't know. I didn't read it. And she could give herself plausible deniability. Well, but what you said, I do not believe that because she is overtly sexual. Right. She showed a video of herself being, taken from behind the first time she met Tamra Judge. She has talked about her sex dungeon the first time she met Heather Dubrow. The first time she interacted with Emily Simpson's husband, who is a devout Mormon, she made him uncomfortable and made a point of talking about sex in front of him at his own party.
That's right.
We're talking about someone who literally,
tried to pick up Shane.
She literally only interacts with people on a sexual level.
Yeah.
This is something that Jefferson Ellison says on Heather Dubrow's World, the podcast. Again,
Yeah.
please go listen to it, you guys. It's fantastic.
And
But
it's been-
he
it's
has
probably been
said
a long
that
episode, too.
Noella is one of those women who seems like she's only ever had two goals in life: be pretty and marry rich.
Yeah.
And the marriage thing hasn't worked out. So she's just focused on being pretty.
And
That's
she ain't.
insane.
Never mind. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
attack a person's looks. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Okay,
I mean,
well, guys, I am so sorry, but I have got to jump off. I do have a little one, and
yeah,
it's been like almost 2 hours, so I have to
know.
go. I'm so sorry.
No, dude, like I swear to God, we still have 15 people in the room, so I'm surprised that I'm shocked that we stayed on this long, but I'm glad because
You guys are amazing, and I love the
I know.
chat. I love everything that you guys said. You're so funny. Coffee Buzz, I'm glad you got your charcuterie board. I'm kind of jealous that I chowed down on some caramel popcorn.
It
now,
took me a minute to realize how I could post the comments, or I would have been I forgot that I could post their comments like that. I was posting them and I was like,
well, I'm going to watch the replay, so that way, hopefully, if anybody else does call in, I can see it and I can catch the rest of the conversation
like 10 more
with
minutes
you guys. So,
close. Yeah,
y'all are wonderful. I love you both, and I'll talk to everybody later. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Do I have to do anything, or you get out? I don't know if I have to do anything. Oh, there you go.
Luckily, my kid goes to bed early, child.
I'm like, I don't even know what time it is. What time is it here?
It's almost 8 my time.
You guys know it's past my bedtime now. Like, I swear, like I'm telling you, somebody, I think it was Joe or somebody was like, I see you start posting at like 3 a.m, and they're like, what are you doing up to? Like, I'm like, that's what time I wake up. Like, because my husband gets up and goes to work at that time. That's what time we get up. So like, I'm really in bed by time 5 o'clock in the afternoon rolls around. I've been up for like, that's a whole day.
You're like crashing.
Yeah. When everybody else gets tired around 8, 9 o'clock, because that's when they're 12 or 13, 16-hour day. You know what I mean? So
and
by
you're
now,
just catching your second win.
Oh my God, by now I've been up for almost 16 hours, like a long time. Yeah, I'm usually asleep by now. So I'll get up at like 3 a.m, and I'll start watching all the stuff that like all the shows, and then I get all hyped up and I'm like, oh, so I start posting, I start talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, and half the people haven't watched it yet because a lot of people watch on demand. So you got to be careful because it's like a spoiler alert. If you go on and start talking about the recap of the show, half the people haven't watched yet.
Yeah, because a lot of times I don't watch the show until the day after. But then I say that, and I've called into people's live chats a few times to talk about a show that I haven't even watched the episode to yet. I've done it so many times, and people really think I done seen the episode, but it's because by the time they get to dropping call-in links, y'all done gave so much of the episode away. I don't have to see it to form a general opinion on a situation. Do you get what I'm saying?
And sometimes, and what I was going to tell you about Love After Lockup, if you start watching it, what you'll notice is you don't even have to. Right, so they only have a real low production budget, so they don't have a lot of cameramen. So they shoot. It looks like each week it's only 5 or 10 minutes later, so you don't really get very far week by week. You don't really get much movement. So like you're going. I promise you, it's don't expect no Housewives production.
It's 5 or 10 minutes.
It feels like
later.
Literally it's the same scene over, and like you might get maybe like another scene, maybe like for just binge like a couple episodes. You'll see what I mean. It's gonna be where you're gonna want to be annoyed. You're gonna want to come on and talk about it because you're gonna be so annoyed. You're gonna be like,
I would have an aneurysm watching one conversation for 12 weeks. I'd be like,
and it's the same conversation. I promise you.
Lock me up. Lock me up.
Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. It's literally the same thing. You're using me. No, I'm not. It's like, it's wild. It's not. I warn you. It's not what we're used to. I started watching it because like the girls from Escape to Reality podcast, they would talk about it, and I'm like, I have never watched it, so let me just watch it. I've been
meaning to watch 90 Day Fiance. I've been meaning to watch Below Deck. I haven't started no new television. I'm sorry. The only new show that I have been watching is Queens. And I have been saying for a long time, I don't watch a lot of scripted television. Like it takes a lot to get me to watch shows that haven't been in production for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
It took Brandy and Eve just to get me to watch a new show. Like it literally took the powers of Brandy and Eve just to get me to be like, I'm watching this. Like
I
that should tell
yeah.
you how often I don't watch a new show.
I'm telling you, I was literally against watching anything on Peacock. I'm like, I can't take anymore. There's already too many. And but I'm so really glad though that I did watch Ultimate Girls Trip in Miami too. But now with scripted TV, it's weird. Like I got so into reality TV, watching scripted TV was kind of odd to me. And I'm like, I'm
Same.
losing touch with reality. But I did get into like Ozarks. And did you see P Town? It was on Showtime, I think. P Town. It was like one season. P Valley. P Town. P
P
Valley.
Valley.
P
I
Valley.
have I've been meaning to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet. They're about to come out with well, actually they're in the middle of a lawsuit right now, so I don't know if
Oh, they're
season
not
2 is
going
gonna
to.
happen or not. Well, well, for those who didn't know, sorry, I
Right.
didn't mean to break the news,
What
but
happened?
for those who don't know, Nikki Gilbert of the '90s R&B group, the only act or the first act signed to Michael Jackson's record label MJJ Records, Brownstone.
Mhm.
She was the lead singer of the group Brownstone back in the '90s. They had that one song, "If You Love Me, Say It." That's them.
Okay.
Um, she filed a lawsuit against the people who create that show. I think it was the production company and the network,
Okay.
and she filed a lawsuit basically saying that it was it was copyright infringement and that they had basically stolen
Oh.
her idea of her stage play Soul Kittens Cabaret, right?
Mm.
And that they had ripped off ideas down to a androgynous or gender fluid club owner
Okay.
being the Uncle Clifford character, but he
Uncle
has a different
Clifford.
name in Soul
Mm.
Kitten's Cabaret.
Mm.
So in one report I've heard, there's not that many si- similarities, and then there's another report that I've heard where there's a video that Nikki Gilbert produced where it's like scenes and lines and they're like side by side, and you can see where in certain parts of P Valley the lines are damn near identical to lines in Soul Kitten's Cabaret back in the day. Now, mind you, I haven't seen this video myself. I'm still looking for it. If
Right.
somebody knows where it is,
I was
send
gonna
me the
ask, does
DMs,
anybody
Georgia,
know?
Carolina.
Yeah.
Send me the DM me Georgia, Carolina, Georgia, Carolina, like both of the states. Um,
Man, that's
does anybody else find
disappointing.
that funny
That's
besides me?
disappointing. Like, I mean, so I mean, I was like, I by the end of the season, I was like, yes, I can get in a whole nother. We got a whole nother season now. So now, if that's wild because we're not going to know
I
what
didn't
happened.
think
I
I
mean,
was gonna I didn't think I was going to be able to get into another scripted show after the way that they ended Pose. They they really fucked up the last season of Pose for me. Like the last season of Pose seemed so rushed and so just sporadic and all over the place. And I know that they shot a lot of it or most of it or all of it during COVID, which is fine,
and messes
but
everything up.
the storylines suffered
Yeah.
in season 3 of Pose, and it really bothered me a lot to watch. So I didn't think I was ever gonna watch a new scripted show again. I was like, child, I'm tired. I don't care. I don't want to watch it. Like, let me just, watch these hoes fight on reality TV and
Mhm.
just call it a day.
Telling you.
And then next thing you know, because mind you, those who watch my channel since
Mhm.
Pouring with Jordan, y'all know that Eve is one of my favorite rappers of all time. Watch my very first Music Monday, and then y'all will know that Brandy is literally the voice of my childhood. Like I
Mhm.
literally grew up on Brandy in every section of my life, from music to television to film to playing with Barbies. Like Brandy was like the first black Barbie that I ever had. Like she is the voice of my entire life, basically. Right. So it took Brandy and Eve to get
Good
me
talk
back on
to
TV because y'all know, like those who know me know, Moesha is my favorite sitcom.
I saw that
Brandy's
when your
starring
first.
vehicle.
I thought it was your first. Yeah, when I saw your video, I was like, what is that like? The shows that raised us or something? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
It was something like that.
throwback TV,
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
like that was the whole concept of it, where like I was
Right.
like talking about the shows that raised me and
Yeah.
like me talking about
Thank you,
all
Erin.
the talking about the privilege of all of the black representation that I got to grow up with on television as a kid, because I hear a lot of people say or have said back in my day that there wasn't a lot of African American representation of film, and I consider myself lucky because
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s where it was an explosion of black TV, black film, Martin, the Hughleys, Living Single, Moesha, Married with My Wife and Kids, all of us, One on One, Half and
227.
Half,
That was
Sister
before my
Sister,
time. Yeah.
227, Facts of Life.
Something.
Like it was just black TV everywhere. Mind you, Facts of Life wasn't a black show, but Kim Fields,
Tootie.
get into
Yeah.
it.
Kim Fields.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
So like
Yep.
right. So like I like I just we don't really have that level of impact
No.
in this space anymore.
Nope.
And so I just wanted to go back and appreciate some of the shows that raised me and view them as an adult and see if I still view them the same. One thing I am
I was
realizing,
gonna say,
because
what
I
did you
want to kind of
realize?
bring that,
Yeah.
well, one thing I did realize, because I kind of want to bring that series back, is that a lot of the shows I grew up watching were really toxic.
Wow. Now, see, I wonder if I
Moesha
would.
was toxic.
I should watch. I mean, because a lot of stuff, like we said, like a lot of stuff back then, that would never fly now, and it would be
Yeah.
damaging. So I wonder, I should like, because I had all the sitcoms like Who's the Boss and like Growing Pains and like all that, and like now it's like wow, like the
Yeah,
stuff
like
that we didn't think like
as
how
an
what they would do to like the stuff that even that was being said and done to like Britney back in the day that we didn't realize was so offensive and was going to be so.
the fixation on her virginity, like,
Yup. Where did
yo,
we not? And as adults now, we catch on to how wrong
and
that
we're
was.
like,
And we were, but we
yeah,
were back then. We didn't. It didn't hit. It didn't register. And as an adult,
that's
like
why
you
I
said,
wanted to do
looking
that.
back, yep. And that's a perfect
Because I
idea
was like,
example.
because I had heard that once. I was like, because I had mentioned to somebody that Moesha was my favorite sitcom, and they were like, you know, Moesha is toxic as fuck, right? I was like,
Hmm?
no,
Oh, yeah.
no, no.
Mm-mm.
And then I went back and I started watching Moesha and Girlfriends. Girlfriends was really toxic too. Tony Childs, I love you to death, but you were a demon. Um, Moesha and Girlfriends was really toxic.
Hmm.
When I was growing up, like Moesha was a little bit of a toxic character. She was in the 90s, she was painted out to be like this squeaky clean girl with a perfect image who got straight
Yeah.
A's and da 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 da. She was really pretentious.
Have you
And she
seen
was a bit of an asshole, and she was a bit narcissistic.
has the reboot for the Fresh Prince did it come on yet, or are they just filming that? Because
I don't know if it's aired yet. I just found out that that was an official thing when they
yeah.
announced a couple cast members last week. I just found out that that was a
Did you
real
hear
thing.
like the Prince behind it more serious? He's taking it much more serious, and it's like
So the video that Will Smith did on his YouTube channel when he brought
Mhm.
the guy that made that sizzle or that concept up, they're really producing that.
Wow, yeah.
Oh, this is
Oh
gonna
yeah.
be good.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they've
this is
already
gonna be
cast and
good.
everything, and they made sure. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that that was an official thing. Like I
Yep.
thought Will Smith might try to get that made, but because I was like, are you going to produce it through your production company? Like, is this
Mhm.
going to be an Overbrook production? Like, what are we doing? Did you just try to put it out there as like a thing? Because I saw this video on his YouTube channel maybe 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
Maybe 2 years ago of him finding this like concept video of if Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was like a more serious
Mhm.
drama, and they showed like the little clip of it, and I was like, that would be a great ass show, da 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 da.
Yep.
But then I never heard anything else about it until last week when they said
Mhm.
these new characters have been announced for the Fresh Prince reboot. I was like,
Yep. And I was like,
no.
and they're like, yeah, and they're gonna, like base it more on this and show you like the impact and everything. I'm like, well, that's good because he's doing it right. If that's the reboot you're gonna bring back, he's doing it right. You know what I mean? Because he's gonna take it
I
serious.
hope
And
they reboot the first Aunt Viv though. Don't reboot the second Aunt Viv though.
I
Reboot
forgot there was two
the
Aunt
original
Vivs.
Aunt Viv.
There was two Aunt Vivs. I forgot there was two Aunt Vivs.
There was literally two
Was
Aunt
there?
Vivs.
Oh wow.
Like the first one looked like this, and the second one looked like that.
So what other show
It was
did there?
really weird.
There was another show that did that, and it was like the daughter. They changed the daughter up.
I can't remember that show, but I
Yeah.
know No, was it Family Matters?
Was it Family?
Was it Family Matters or was it the Cosby Show where the daughter went upstairs and she never came back?
I don't know. What?
I think it was the Cosby Show.
She went upstairs and never came back.
There was a character on the show. She went upstairs
just
in one
disappeared.
episode and she never came back again. It might have been Family Matters or the Cosby Show. I can't remember. Chat, let me know if y'all remember this or if you're old enough.
I'm laughing. I find that really funny, but like,
I think it was Family Matters.
That would be real traumatizing as a kid to watch. You know what I mean? Like, where'd it go? Where'd she go?
I swear to God, like that has been talked about for years. Where she went upstairs and she never came back. Huh?
They swapped Jennifer. Mocha said. On
Jennifer on My Wife and Kids.
Was it My Wife and Kids? I was thinking of oh my God, it just came to me. Oh, on Roseanne with the daughter. They had two separate what was the daughter's name? It's on Becky's. They had two different Becky's. They had a Becky in the beginning of Roseanne and a Becky at the end. They completely changed who she was. The daughter from the 70s show changed.
On the last season on
Family Matters.
Where the daughter went upstairs and she never came back.
Is it Family Matters, Eric? Yeah.
Something else weird that happened on Family Matters.
Oh, My Wife and Kids. Yeah, like that's the wife.
Yeah, because in the beginning, Jennifer Freeman wasn't the original daughter, and then I think like part of the way through the season, they replaced her with the one that's the light skinned girl from You Got Served. Did we ever find out if she's actually related to Morgan Freeman or not?
Mm-hmm.
Look that up in the chat. But another weird thing that happened on Family Matters that was weird, speaking of casting, the original actress Jo Marie Payton, who, if y'all are too young to know who that is, she's Sugar Mama from the Proud Family. That's who Jo Marie Payton is. She was the original mom on the show for like 7 seasons. For the majority of the seasons, and then she left the show like basically in the middle of the last season. Well, she said that she would come back and do like a few episodes to get them going in the last season, and then for the last 8 episodes, there was a whole new actress that played her role for just the last 8 episodes.
And could you even get into it at that point too? Like, it's because I know like on my with like General Hospital stuff, they'll change characters up like mid drama, and it's like I can't even finish the storyline because that's not the person that it's not the Becky I know. You know what I mean? Like with Becky on Roseanne, it was like that's weird. Like, and then like, can you imagine that the daughter goes upstairs and she never comes back down? I'm like, what am I thinking? You know what I mean? Like, what are you thinking happened?
I am still wondering where the hell she at.
Where'd she go?
Like, where is she? Like, where did she go? Because people have, I swear to God, people have been just scroll through Black Twitter sometimes. You'll just casually see a tweet. Where the hell is the girl from Family Matters?
Right?
I swear to God, I see it at least once a week, once every 2 weeks. Where's the girl from Family Matters? Like,
anybody ever answer?
Talk about this. I think they might have answered this, and I can't remember. But the girl got fired. The actress got fired.
Man,
and so, but they never explained what happened to her character. They never did anything with her character. She just went upstairs and died, I guess. like they never said anything about her again. Like they never mentioned her again. She never got brought up on the show. Like nothing. Like not even like, oh, we sent her off to boarding school. She went upstairs and was never seen again or heard from again. Scary. See, I think all these shows thought that they could pull a Bewitched and they thought that they could switch Dick York for Dick Sargent and nobody would notice. Like, girl, we noticed. We noticed when they switched them 2 dicks on Bewitched.
Right? I was like, wait a minute, they did do that, didn't they? They did.
Yeah.
And then
that was one of the most seamless ones though, because I
didn't even remember
they had the same name.
Yeah.
1, they had the same name. 2, they kind of looked alike. And also the one that ended up playing the second Darren, that was the original choice for Darren. but he was busy doing something else, and he
I was like,
couldn't
man.
film that show at the time. So they brought in Dick York, who ended up having all them back problems. And so towards the end of the show, they ended up
Oh my God.
letting him go, or he ended up leaving the show. So they ended up bringing back Dick Sargent, who was now available. So he still ended up getting to play Durwood. I mean, Darren.
Man, I didn't see. Well, I didn't even remember that until you brought that up. I would have never noticed it. Like, I guess I remembered it back then, but I remember what Jeannie. I Dream of Jeannie. I was watching I Dream of Jeannie, and in the very end, they switched up it wasn't him. It was somebody else, and that was like the end of the show. And I watched it as a kid, and it was already reruns. And then you know what I mean. So when they switched it up, it was like 19. I don't know. I think it was filmed in like the 60s or 70s. But he's JR. He was JR on Dallas when I was watching. He was like old JR on Dallas was I was watching I Dream of Jeannie, and like they killed him off in the like the very last season of I Dream of Jeannie before it was even in color. They changed it up, and I was like thinking how odd that was. But and then I seen him as an old man the next day on Dallas, and I was like, wow. But
Speaking of, since I think it's funny that these shows came into conversation back to back, you know that I Dream of Jeannie was a direct ripoff of Bewitched, right?
I was wondering because they were always on one after the other. They were like I watched
Watching those shows back, can you tell? Like, are those shows similar at all to you?
I mean, like if you look at it like the concept of your wife being a witch or a genie,
A magical being,
right?
like outside of the
So,
obvious.
yeah. So I mean, like maybe they had the same, maybe they had the same like you know how like Tori Spelling's dad did all like Dynasty and like all them shows. Maybe they had the same whatever, like same creator.
This was two different networks, because I actually
Oh,
watch these
well,
random
then I know that
documentaries
like
on
I'm
this
like,
stuff
I'm
all the
bewitched.
time. Yeah, because I think I can't remember which one was which, but I think that Bewitched might have been on like ABC, and then CBS did I Dream of Jeannie. But Bewitched was on, and it was like the first show with the magical wife, normal
Yeah,
husband, blah blah blah, and they saw how popular that was, and then I Dream of Jeannie came out the next year,
I
right
was
after that, and then we ended up getting, I think there was another one that came out after that too. I think we ended up
Charmed. That
I
was
think
like,
the Munsters was supposed to be like a
oh, that scared
like
me so
like
much. That
a
one.
version of that, where like they were doing like these weird family shows, or
That'd
these
be cool.
unconventional family shows. I'll say
That'd be
that.
cool if they did that now. Only
It
because
would be cool. Like I want to see
I
Dark
like,
Shadows come back as a TV
yeah.
show,
I'm waiting for
and I
Stranger
want to
Things to come
audition
out.
for a character too.
I
Huh?
want Stranger Things to come back. I was into Stranger Things. I like like other dimensions and stuff. You know, like when they
I
live,
love
like
that.
love it.
I
But
would love that. I want to see a Living Single reboot, just because Friends, in the way that I Dream of
yeah,
Jeannie was a direct ripoff of Bewitched, Friends was a direct ripoff of
was
Living
it?
Single. So the fact that,
Oh,
yeah, like
was
it's been
lit.
talked about for years and years. Same way this thing happened, um where Living Single was out first. They saw how good it was doing, and then um I can't remember who it was that came to um somebody, I think it was whoever created Friends, the head of that network basically came, and they were asked, like, they had a slew of shows, and they were like, what show do you want to make? And they chose Living Single to remake, and that's how
Hmm.
we got Friends.
Man. See, and then when they did that stupid reboot to like with Friends, I was all against. I was like, these reboots were not making sense for me. And the way they did the reboot for that was like with them just sitting around talking about it. Like, if they're going to reboot like Living Single, would you want it to be something completely different, right? Not like how they did with their Friends reboot was them just talking about the show, sitting around a table. And Living Single comes back, they need to
So they
do
did a
it.
sit down.
They did a sit
So
down
like
and
they
talk
just had to
about
sit down.
yep,
No, if y'all are
memory,
gonna get together, like if
like
y'all are gonna
memory
get
lane.
together, Like, if y'all are gonna do something like that with the Friends reunion, then like I want to see y'all do a table read of old episodes.
Right.
Like, I want to see something like that. But if y'all are gonna reboot the show, reboot the
Right.
show, and
I was
make,
disappointed.
like, where are these characters at in
Mhm.
2021? But whatever you do, don't do anything that And Just Like That is doing. But we'll talk about that later. You know
Yeah.
what reboot worked for me that they didn't bring back, and I'm sad about?
What?
BH 90210.
Oh, you like that one? You like that reboot? Oh,
That reboot was brilliant to me. Not the
no.
one with the kids. Not the one with the kids. Not the
The
90210 reboot with Annalyn
right,
McCord and
the
all of
one where
those
they just
girls.
did, where
Not
they showed
that
them
one.
making up, the making of the show, right? Or
Yes.
you liked it?
Oh, that was
Oh,
great. That was so, it was just so brilliant. That concept of seeing the cast of a 90s television show playing fictionalized versions of themselves, trying to come back together to reboot the
I
90s
was
television show. It was so meta and it was so
maybe.
brilliant.
I mean, maybe because it's so. I was just like, what is going on? I can't. I
It
was
was so
lost. I was confused. Like, what's going on?
because
Like,
for me, it was so brilliant to see it redone in that way because there were so many reboots out in that way where, like, it was just where are the characters at now, and
yeah,
like I was just like, some of these shows you don't need to try to recapture the magic of the old show. Like, it seems like
great. Ruined it.
some of these reboots tried to just jump back into the flow of what they were doing 20 years ago, and it's like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah." That's not how this works. This took an entirely, like, this was a brand new fresh concept. It was like the self-awareness, like
Yeah.
the lack of a fourth wall. I wish reality shows were made like this.
I love when they break the fourth wall. Like we were just saying, isn't it? It's like when they do that, I'm telling you, when they break the fourth wall, it's just like, I don't know. It's just,
Like, imagine if we got
we're
a
spoiled.
whole season of Housewives that was just like the reunion. Mind you, when we get to the reunion, they walk into there, they talk about what's going to happen on camera, who got the most to answer for. We see all of them preparing for the act to film a show. I want to see them in actual scenes talking about, oh, so you know so and so joining the show. Do you know her? Like, what's her story? Do we know? Does she have any people that we know in common? Blah 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 blah. Oh, well, you're not talking to me about this. This happened off camera. So if we're gonna talk about it, then really say everything that happened. Like, I want to see a whole season outside of
Hmm.
Ultimate Girls Trip where it's just a hodgepodge of housewives that really don't know each other. I want to see a regular group of housewives really sit down and have a no fourth wall season.
I
I need
mean,
it. And you know who I also need to do that? I wish that the cast of The Hills would have did that.
oh, they
That
just.
would have made that reboot so much better.
I was
R.I.P.
so. I found out this week. I was like, yeah. I found out this week it wasn't coming back. I was like, man, they could not. They could not pull it together last season. I'm like, come on, guys, come
They
on,
could
come
not
on.
pull it together. Like,
Like,
they
fuck
could
you.
not pull it
Ugh,
together. It was so,
so
but
slow.
once again, this is what I'm talking about. When
Bad.
you reboot a show and you just try to jump back into the same style and the same flow of what y'all were doing before,
I'm the
it
same
doesn't
role.
make sense. So many years have passed. And especially this concept that I'm talking about, the way the BH 90210 came back, this
Yeah,
concept would have been perfect for The Hills
right,
because after the show was over, everybody on the show came back and talked about how fake the show was,
right.
how the whole show was scripted, how everything was a lie. It was all a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would have been amazing to see them come back and
No,
actually film a show. Like,
I was
actually
like,
watch a show within a reality show. Like, see them do it fake. Like, no, we're not going to create storylines this time. Did this actually happen? Them,
yeah.
like, talking to the producers. Like, I want to see it really happen. I don't think it ever will
I was like,
outside of
what?
like an Ultimate Girls Trip context, but it would be
I was
amazing.
like, what is like who are the producers telling Heidi and Spencer to act like this or what? Like I said, this is not the drama and as adults that is gonna like it's not gonna work. It didn't work. All that stuff there, it was like such crap. And I'm like, man, they should have did it completely different. I mean, come on, like I like making Spidey the villains again and all that crap when you know that's not really it's like I
And the
like
fact, and
Carrie
I
Dean
think
more.
that Spencer really kind of poked a hole in a lot of that because every interview he did, he basically said he was playing
Called
the
him out.
villain.
Yeah, he's like, I'm calling. Yeah, he would call it out. And I was like, oh, geez.
It's like we're making a show here. Like
Yeah,
if anything,
he would
they
say,
should have
yeah.
gave if if anything, they should have gave Spencer a fucking producer credit. Cause
He was trying.
he worked his ass off.
He
I
was
don't
trying.
maybe if they would have let him have his way, maybe it would have been a better show. Cause he was like he was more interesting to watch in his interviews about the show than he
Mm-hmm.
was to watch on the show. Cause it seemed like Spencer was thoroughly invested in
Yeah.
making a good television
Exactly.
show.
He was waiting. He wanted to, he was fully invested in it and going as well as it did the last time, and he knew it worked the last time. And unfortunately, I don't know if it was it didn't, it just didn't land well. It didn't land well. And the cast, you have the same cast, but like I liked seeing like Tommy and Pam's what's his name? Brandon. I liked seeing Brandon. I loved Carol and Dior.
Yeah.
I liked the new people. I liked seeing more of Jen and I forget their name, Jason and Ashley and Jen and the other guy. Like I liked seeing more of their stuff, like because we didn't get a lot of them from before.
How did you feel about Misha Barton joining the show? Was that a little too meta for you?
I mean, I didn't understand. Like, was she friends with them? I didn't understand. Like, she was there and then she wasn't.
She was there because the Hills and Laguna Beach were based off of the OC.
Because I mean,
that's the only reason she was there.
Well, I had no idea that Lauren and Kristen never even were friends. They never even went. I really thought that, like, I knew it was scripted, but I thought that she really went out with Brody. I really believe, like, it was crazy when I found out that never even happened. Lauren was like, no.
It made me want to go back and watch Laguna Beach because I don't know whatever. I legitimately do not know what made me start watching The Hills because I was obsessed with The Hills. Like I've seen every single episode of the original show, but I've never seen one frame of Laguna Beach.
Really?
Never. I've never seen it. I don't know what made me start watching The Hills, but I've never seen Laguna Beach.
Watch Siesta Key. Have you watched Siesta Key yet?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
Just like it's okay. It starts out kind of like Laguna Beach. It's kind of starts out very scripted, but now we're 3 seasons in. It's literally just like The Hills, the way it's produced, the way it's shot. But now we're getting to the point where I think you would like it. We're getting to the point where like they're starting to form real relationships. Like Heidi and Spencer were a real couple eventually. Jen and Frankie. So now they're actually having babies and forming real friendships and like relationships where it's not going to be as scripted as it was. So it's like. It's just, I got into it just like I did with Laguna Beach and The Hills. I'm telling you, we're almost 3 seasons in, almost maybe, or 4. But like, as far as Misha Barton, I didn't even really know who she was from the OC to begin with. And that she didn't.
I didn't watch the OC. I just knew who she was from watching the E Network.
I forgot.
Like, I only knew who she was from watching E News. That's the only way I ever knew who Misha Barton was. I was like, that's the girl that Juliana Rancic is always talking about on E News. Where's Juliana Rancic?
I was like, I could see if she's she was like the host forever on E, but like she married
the queen of E.
Yeah, like married what's his face that won The Apprentice.
Bill.
Yeah, and they're still together, which I think is cute as hell. Like Juliana.
I think it's so cute. I even watched their show. Like that's a reality show that I want to see come back because I never saw a reality show kind of form that way where it was like somebody who was an actual like news correspondent, somebody who was in the news, like who was a news reporter actually became the news and became famous off of being a reporter. Like that was so interesting to watch Juliana's progression.
And
I was like, that was so weird. But then she fucked her whole life up with that whole Zendaya thing. I was like, oh, so not only do you not have your own brain, you don't have enough self-awareness to know that something sounds racially insensitive.
Is that like, yeah? Is that what
because when she said that this was the Oscars a few years back. I think this was after. This was right after Joan Rivers had passed. I think, yes, because Kathy Griffin was there, and Kathy Griffin left not too long before, not too long after this, if I'm not mistaken. But Joan Rivers had just passed. They were trying to figure it out, and this was the Oscars one year. This was the year that Zendaya wore the white dress with the faux locks.
Oh, okay.
And Right. And Juliana Rancic was like, she looks like she smells like patchouli oil
I
and
remember her
weed.
saying that. Yep. I was like, I remember when I heard that she said that, I was like, did she know
I-
she was mic'd? What?
Even if you
Like what?
didn't,
Right. But like,
even if you didn't make that joke up, you don't have enough self-awareness to be like, that don't sound.
mm-mm. She would know better too.
Her hair makes her look like she smells like patchouli oil and weed.
Mm.
So I should look at a blonde and be like, she looks like she smells like suntan lotion and vodka.
I was gonna say, yep, that's
Like,
exactly what it
what
would
does
be
that
like.
mean?
Right, you're right. You're exactly what that. Yeah, it's like I would. Yeah, you know better. You know better. Like any normal, any like human. Like, yeah, you know better. Like things just.
And you report the news like your
I was
entire
gonna
career
say
has been
that
based on being politically correct.
and being the
How did
right.
how did you let them sucker you into that?
I wonder. Like literally, like we've sitting here tonight, have we trying to figure out these brains and like where did it go wrong? Like where did it go wrong? How did that happen? You know, how does
Like
that
you couldn't have
happen?
been that invested in trying to make fashion police work that you were willing to risk your journalistic integrity to sit here and say that a black woman with faux locks smells like weed. Are
Yeah,
you like not only are you offending black people, but you're offending a religion.
yeah.
Rastafari is woe her ass out.
I was like, how? Like, what? Whoa. And you're like, you try to get in the brain of somebody and try to understand, like, where does that come from? Like, we've been trying to do, and you just can't because you're like, and there's really no excuse in it. Like, what did she have like, what did she say?
All
Why?
she said All she said was she didn't write the joke. The producers
Oh,
wrote the joke and she read it. But that's why I keep saying, even if you didn't make up
wait
that
a minute.
joke, when you read the joke to
Right.
yourself before you went on camera, you didn't think this
Ah,
sounds a little
that
sketchy?
sounds that, yeah, that now that sounds like I did. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, so where did that even, but she said that she,
They had writers
get this.
on the
So she,
show writing jokes for them. Now, mind you,
yeah.
I don't understand why the writers for writing I don't understand why they were writing jokes for Juliana Rancic
Yeah.
when that's not how the show worked.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers told all the jokes. They
Right.
just kind of fed off of her commentary, but
Yeah.
Joan would be the one that would do all the spiking jokes and all of the, she would throw all the shade. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds like another
And then
social
after she
media manager situation to me.
basically, and then after she died, it seemed like they were trying to figure out how to make fashion police work. And
It
it was
didn't.
like, dude, if y'all would have just came in and let Kathy Griffin do her thing,
Yeah.
it would have been fine. Because mind you, I thought Kathy Griffin was perfect for the job because she's a comedian. She had a very close relationship with Joan Rivers, and she's also a fashionista.
Right.
Like Kathy Griffin does fashion.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she would have been perfect, but they wanted her to be Joan Rivers, and that's
There's
not how
no
she
other.
does comedy.
Yeah. No. And it's Jim Rivers is Jim Rivers. There's really no. She was one of a kind. Like there's hard to replace that woman. Like she was one of a kind. I like even her
I
daughter.
actually have
Like,
her quote tattooed on my ribs.
do you? Yeah, even like her daughter tried, and she looked just like her, and she try to replace her for a little bit. She stepped in for a little bit.
She came on the show. I can't remember if she replaced. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and
because
it-
first it was Juliana Rancic, Kelly Osbourne, Kathy Griffin, and I think Brad Goreski,
mhm.
and then and Kathy and Kelly Osbourne left because Kathy Griffin left because the show just wasn't going well, and because of the whole Juliana Rancic thing. Kelly
Mm,
Osbourne left because of the Juliana Rancic thing,
mm.
and which is so ironic that Kelly Osbourne left Fashion Police because of a racially insensitive comment, and then went on The View and said, "Well, if all Mexicans go back to Mexico, who's going to clean your toilets, Donald Trump?" The irony, the
Mm.
irony of that,
Irony, right? And on the
the
view.
irony, the irony. So she left because of that, right? And so then after that happened, they brought in Melissa Rivers and Nene Leakes.
Did they?
And that's when they yep. That's when they stopped doing the show every single week. When they brought in Nene Leakes and them, that's when they started doing the show only around award season.
Mm.
So they would do it like as special one-offs for the
Yeah.
Golden Globes, for the Oscars, for the VMAs.
So
Like they
much
would
has
just do like
changed.
random fashion polices, and they did maybe 3 or 4 of
I
those,
miss
and then
all
they
that,
ended up canceling
man.
the show.
I literally miss like Fashion Police, like when the award shows are coming on. I don't know. They don't do any of that anymore. I don't. There's nothing to really watch to like.
There's no
You know?
fashion police anymore, which
And there's
honestly I don't know
no-
who they could get to
yeah.
do it. Like
They
the
don't
only
even,
people like the only people I could see them getting to do it is like
maybe Project Runway people too, like Project Runway. Maybe some of the new
if
designers.
Christian
Maybe.
Siriano wants to do double duty, if Beverly Smith just happens to be in LA, like
Yeah.
because Beverly Smith on Fashion Queens was lovely. I
Mm.
loved her on Fashion Queens, and Beverly Smith just has a certain energy that I live for. So if she's not in, so if she's not somewhere tramping around Harlem doing her thing, if Christian Siriano has some time off from filming, if Jonathan Van Ness is he the fashion guy from the new Queer Eye? Because I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen the new one now.
Whoever the fashion
Mm.
guy is from the new Queer Eye, like
Hmm.
dig him up. Like I'm trying to think of really fashion oriented people. Cole Walliser. Put Cole Walliser on. For those who don't know who Cole
Yeah.
Walliser is, he's the one that does all the glam bots at the the award shows. Y'all know the big ass cameras that they turn and they turn and and it like goes into slow
Yeah.
motion really quick. Cole Walliser does that. He's one of the sexiest men I've ever seen. Let him do it. No, like
Oh,
go look up Cole Walliser on Instagram right now.
I
Cole
will.
Walliser and Simu Leo, 2 of the sexiest men I've ever
Really.
seen in my life.
I have to
Oh
look
my
at
god.
one. I know.
But yes, have Cole Walliser do it because he's on the
See,
red carpets all the time.
I want
So
to
that's
go.
like firsthand experience.
We should go and be on the red carpet and do it.
I would
I'll
love
be in
to
my
do it.
ripped
Like I would
jeans,
love to
my
do
ripped
red
black
spark.
jeans. You would love
Like
it. I'll
I
be
would
there
be
just to
there
be
in my
sexy.
ugly leather pants. I would be dressed like Lenny Kravitz at
I'm just
every
like, I'm
fucking
with
award
her.
show. I
I'll
swear to
just be
God.
like, I'm with her. Don't mind me. I'm with her.
Like any award show I would go to, I would either be dressed like a Balenciaga muse, or as the grown people know, like Grace Jones dressed in the 80s. Because
Mm-hmm.
basically, what Kim Kardashian is doing now with the whole Balenciaga fit, head to toe, feet covered gloves that
Yeah,
now Kanye is doing on
I like
Julia
that.
Fox, that was just Grace Jones in the 80s and 90s.
I know, and I was like, man, but I like it. I like it. Bring it back. She looked
I
good.
love it.
She
I
looked
love
amazing.
it.
I was like,
That's the
I want
best
to
Kim
walk
has
around
ever
like
looked
that.
to me.
We should do it
It's the
tomorrow.
best Kim has ever looked to me.
Let's
I
get
would
in
do
that.
that, or I would do Lenny Kravitz, where like I would be wearing leather pants and an open vest with no shirt on, and like geo jewelry. Like it would either be one or the other. Because literally, I am very I live my life in a minimalist lifestyle, right? So
Yeah.
when it comes to fashion, like I would be giving all the Erica Badu tees,
See, I think I'm so
all the
like
Grace Jones
I
tees.
suck at fashion. Like I'm horrible. I would need like a whole. You would be like, you are not coming with me. We need to dress you. You'd have to dress me. Let's like this is our goal to go to BravoCon. That'll be our fashion police for next year.
June Ambrose, what's she doing? Put her on Fashion Police. Where's Rachel Zoe?
Oh,
Put
Rachel
her
Ziploc.
on Fashion Police.
I forgot
Mind
about
you,
her.
for all the kids that don't remember, she was
They
one of
probably
the
don't know where
original
she is.
faces of
I know
Bravo.
her. Yeah,
She was
Rachel
one of the
Ziploc.
original faces of Bravo. She's
Man,
the reason why Brad Goreski has a career.
that's right. That he was her
He
assistant,
was
right?
her assistant.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Then
See,
they gave then when he left and I think her show ended, Brad got a spin-off
he was like,
for Brad World, which I think only lasted like 1 or 2 seasons.
I
And
remember
then next
that.
thing you know, the next time we saw him, he was down to the Fashion Police with the Nene Leakses in him. I just saw his name somewhere the other day. What is Brad Goreski doing?
I don't know. Somebody was just talking about him. They were just talking about
He
him.
he's judging on Canada's Drag Race.
Is that what he?
Season 2. Yeah. because I
Okay.
just read that in an article last week. He's one of the new because apparently I didn't know this. They got an entirely new judges panel for Canada's Drag Race because at first it was Stacey McKenzie, who was the new runway coach from the last few seasons of America's Next Top Model.
Uh-huh.
It was her. It was Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, who's the most adorable black man you'll ever see in your life, um, and Brooklyn Heights. Those were the main cast members, and I think there was another one. Maybe there was another girl, but I just remember them three.
Yeah.
Well, Stacy ended up not being able to do the show because of COVID, and then Jonathan left the show. I mean, what's the man name? Jeffrey Boyer Chapman left the show partially because, well, he said it was because of um, filming schedule conflictions with another project that he's filming. But I
Hmm.
also think that it had something to do with all of the bad press that he got on Canada's Drag Race because they
Did
ate his
he?
ass alive.
Oh no.
Unfairly, I think. But they just said that he was like a terrible judge on there.
Hmm.
So they brought in I forgot who the other girl was. I can't remember. I think there's two new female judges and then Brad Goreski.
Hmm. I
So
saw. Yeah.
congrats, Brad. I didn't even know that he was Canadian.
He aged well too. He looks good. He aged well.
Yes, he
He
does look
aged
good.
well. He was good looking.
Yeah,
He reminds
and he
me.
looks younger.
Now this is what you gotta do. I want you to watch. Okay, because it's Thursday now. Watch a couple episodes if you can of Love After Lockup because it comes on tomorrow night. And then you're gonna want to talk about it, and then we're gonna have to talk about it. We'll have to come on and talk about it because I've been wanting to cover it and talk about it, but I got to talk about it with somebody because it's like it's funny and you need to just like you got to watch it. Just watch it.
I would
This
definitely
one's
check
actually
out tomorrow.
this group of people is actually not that bad. They're actually kind of for real. Like they actually feel like they're actually real relationships. The last season, oh my god, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. I'll tell you about it when we're off here. It's nuts.
Oh
It's
my god.
the one girl just got released again. I just saw she got released out of Sherelle had it that she got released. Sherelle actually interviewed the one girl. She was still in prison. She went back to prison. Sherelle gets an actual notification that she's released only because she had to be set up on her phone plan to interview her for prison. She was like, I get something. And she's like, now I'm getting notifications that not Destiny, whatever her name was, been released. And she's like, I'm getting those notifications because I had to interview her in the jail and she had to sign up for JPay. And I was like, Sherelle, she was so funny. She goes, oh my God, I'm on the prison system. She's like, I know this girl got released. I was like, that's hysterical. Love After Lockup, Erin. It's on I think it's not Lifetime. Wed Channel.
WeTV?
WeTV. What am I saying? Wed Channel. Yeah, I think it's WeTV. Don't quote me on that, but you'll find it. It's easy to find.
I'm guessing, child. I don't know.
I'm telling
But
you,
I
it's
think
in my
it's WeTV.
recording. I thought I'm thinking to myself when I'm talking about what I was going to cover, I'm talking like it's on TLC. And then I realized, no, it's not.
I would have thought TLC too, to be honest. Because can you believe that is called the Learning Channel?
Huh? That's a
TLC stands for the Learning Channel.
I thought it was
Can you
Tender
believe
Loving
that?
Channel. I don't know what I thought it was. Tender
That's
Loving
the singing
Channel.
girl. Well, child,
But
that's the olden days. Child. That's the good old days, honey. When you need to do some tender love and care, honey. Then TLC came out with the T-Body
trash.
Left Eye and Chili.
Yeah. That I'm telling you. Well, see, you got 90 Day Fiance, which isn't that bad. It's actually pretty, as you know, it gets pretty much vetted. But then you have Love After Lockup, and it's like, oh well, I'm not. And then you have not TLC, and then you have like the one show with the sisters obsessed with each other, and the mother and daughter obsessed with. Is that TLC or no? Never mind. See, I get them all confused. It's like 1,000 Pound Sisters is TLC, and then like all them, and then there was the mothers were obsessed with the daughter, mother and daughter obsessed with each other. Like, and then the mother and son are stuck to each other, but like they're, you know what I mean? That they have significant others. It's just strange. Like sister love, mother. It was weird. And
I have never heard of this, but
it's on like I
got my attention.
I'm telling you, it's like the mother and the daughter. Oh my God, it's creepy. It's so creepy. It's creepy. It's very creepy. It's like one of the mother and daughters are obsessed with each other, and then like there's a couple of them, and then there was one where like sisters. Oh yeah, sisters are married to like the same guy. Like they're literally do everything together. That's how obsessed. It's like odd to me. It's odd. But anyway, yeah, that's what go. All right, Love After Lockup, and then I want to talk about it.
I'm gonna definitely check that out.
You're gonna be
Because
like,
Love
it's
After
funny.
Lockup is the only one that sounds like a concept that I can get into.
It's
Because
like,
I don't understand the concept of 90 Day Fiance. I don't understand the concept of Married at First Sight. Me as a Virgo,
yeah.
y'all know my Virgo be my Virgo be Virgoing. I don't have the time. Like I can't wrap my mind around a concept
Could
like
you
that.
imagine that?
Married at First Sight or
Not
90 Day
knowing
Fiance. I'm like,
what
girl,
are the
no.
chances of it being somebody like think about because you gotta think about chemistry too. What are the chances? I mean, half of them actually work out for some reason. I don't know. It's like half a season, like half the couples actually work for some reason, but I don't know about this. This season seems a little off, but like two
You know what's
seasons
so
before this,
fascinating
like,
about
it's like,
that?
weird. Yeah.
What's so fascinating about that is that you
What?
said half the couples from the seasons of Married at First Sight actually end up working out, but there's been 52 seasons of The Bachelor
None.
and The Bachelorette. Name three of those couples that
I
have lasted.
know. How crazy. How nuts is that? Think about it.
You want to know
They
something else that's
never
really crazy? They
do
never last, but the show keeps coming back. You
you
want to
think
know another weird example of that?
what? What?
Name a singer from The Voice.
One that's one or one that's on a judge?
Does it matter? Exactly.
I don't even
Name a winner of The Voice.
I don't know. I don't know. None of them. I
Name a
don't even know.
song that's come out of The Voice.
I thought they were all covers. I don't know. I thought they were all. I'm clueless. I thought I watched like they all get a team and then I don't know what happened after that. I don't know anything.
What I'm saying is there's been they do 2 seasons of The Voice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can name one winner of the show.
Mm-mm.
I have not heard one song from a winner of The Voice
Mm-mm.
ever.
And
All I know is who's judging that season.
like, what's the concept to form a
The
team
concept
and then
is
when they
the
leave they get
coaches
a
hear
deal?
them blind. Well, it's kind of like they like the coaches hear the singers blind, right? So like they have the chairs turned around, they come out, they audition, they sing. And the people who want them on their team, they'll like press the button, turn around in the chair to
Yeah.
basically vote for them to be on their team. And if multiple people vote for that singer, then the singer gets the opportunity to choose which judge's team they want to be on. So they basically build a team. They
Yeah.
do all of these competitions each week where like they battle each other. They do
Oh, right.
theme weeks. Da 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 da. They do all of this stuff and they work the teams down, work the teams down, work the teams down until they finally have a winner. And and then there's a winner as in the singer who auditioned, and then
Uh-huh.
there's a winner as far as the coach whose team that person
Okay.
was on
And they
that
get like a
season.
contract or something when they leave,
They get
or
a record deal allegedly. I don't even know what they get anymore because
seriously?
we never
Like
hear any damn
we
music.
hear
But
about
I'm
American
assuming
Idol.
that they get a record deal.
Yeah, because I'm thinking American Idol. We could probably name all American Idol winners. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
can't name an American Idol winner since Carrie Underwood. Sorry.
I'm trying to think after Carrie Underwood. Maybe I probably can't either. After Carrie Underwood, I probably can't either.
I can't think of an American Idol winner since
Yeah,
Carrie
now that I
Underwood.
think about it, after that, it kind of went down. Yeah, Weird Deshaun just said
I
like
didn't realize that American Idol was still on.
it came back. It just came back, and then I literally saw one or two commercials, but didn't watch it. I don't even know. I
I
couldn't
didn't
even
even
tell you.
realize it was on. Somebody DM'd me and was like, "Did you watch American Idol last night?" I was like, "I thought that got canceled."
My mom too. My mom
Again,
watches Dancing with the Stars, and she said something about it. I was like, "That's still on." She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dancing with
I
the
don't want to
Stars."
watch anything with Tyra Banks at the helm. No shade.
I was like, I don't even know. She's like naming the people that are on Dancing with the Stars, like the judges. I'm like, I don't even know who they are. I didn't even know they switched judges. I didn't know they switched anything. I didn't know Carrie Ann
I
Arbor was gone. I don't even know.
I just who?
Carrie Ann Arbor. What was her name? What was her name? Carrie Ann Arbor.
Carrie Ann Inaba's going?
Yeah, isn't she going? Isn't she the one that was
I
the
don't know.
original?
She's one of the originals, but I didn't even know she was
Wait,
going. What's she doing?
I don't know. Who's the one? The
Wait,
girl
is
that?
she on the talk now? No, that's not
Mhm.
Carrie Ann Inaba, is it?
Who was the one? Like, not the guy that was doing the actual host, right? Wasn't there a chick too, a host? Like it was a girl host too.
Aaron, I
She
forgot her
left too,
name. I
right?
think it was
The original.
Aaron something, and the dude, both of the hosts got fired
Right. They're
last season.
oh,
And then Tyra Banks came on as the new host and executive producer,
see, I
which
didn't even know.
I'm
Yeah.
like, uh-oh.
I just knew that when you just said it. Yeah. I had no idea. Dude, we've been on for 3 hours.
It happens like that. My longest live is like
Mhm.
4.5 hours.
Yeah. And then you
Um,
add on all the 8 hours that we talked before.
it truly happens like that.
I know.
But I'm trying to think, because
I
I was
like
gonna say something and I completely forgot what I was about to say. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I have not watched one episode of I have not watched Dancing with the Stars in years. I haven't watched any of American Idols. I haven't watched any of the race. I never watched that anymore. I don't watch any Survivor. I used to watch Survivor a lot. I don't even know if they're still even on. But
Probably. I
I'm
don't
like
know.
junk television. My brain's mush. I'm like, wow, I watch all trash television. I gotta start. I'm like, I'm like, man, I watch some really trashy shit. I really should get
I
into some
spend most of my
education.
time on YouTube,
I
which is crazy. Like, I spend most of my time, like, literally, hi. I
I know.
spend most of
Hey
my
guys.
time physically on YouTube. No, but like most of the time I'm watching YouTube content. Like, I spend a little bit of time watching reality TV, but the comparative hours that I spend watching reality television versus the time that I spend watching YouTube
Yep.
content is an 80-20 split. 80 on YouTube and 20 on actual reality TV, to the point to where, like,
Murder.
I think the only real reality shows that I do watch are Housewives and Married
I
to Medicine, of course, because that's my favorite.
when I can't watch when I've gone through everything else, I'll go to the Gaia Network, and that's all the spiritual stuff and all the it's literally just documentaries and spiritual stuff, and then I'm like, okay, I get through that, and then I'll start watching scripted TV. But it's been taking me a while. I really my brain is turning to mindless TV. I really got to get some education in there.
Yeah,
Now
so
I
that's why
literally
I spend.
skipped that. Now I'm skipping the TV and I'm watching YouTube recaps. Now that's really going to make my brain like
You know
what
what?
jaded souls we are.
I didn't
Jaded
even realize
souls.
I was doing that until people started calling it a thing. Because I've been doing that for a long time. Like I just said earlier, I've called into plenty of live chats and had a whole conversation about a show that I have never even seen the episode of. Like well, I ain't gonna say Axe Campfire because it might ruin my credibility
Your credibility.
credibility a little bit. But
Oh, buddy.
there have been times, like Kempire's channel especially. I've done this a lot
Me
on
too.
Kempire's channel, not intentionally, but I just like talking to Kempire. Um, I haven't seen the episode, but I just like watching his content. So I'll watch the recap because he takes a while to drop the call-in link. So by the time he drops the call-in link, I know what
Hold up.
happened in the episode, so I can
I
talk about it
know.
now.
His
Like, it's
things will
easy.
come up and it's like Love and Marriage Huntsville, and I never saw that. But I'll get in the chat and I'm like, but guys, I don't know
Go
what you're talking about, but
back
I'll watch it.
and watch it. I just
Yeah.
went back. I went back and I watched the whole first season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Well, no, the first season and half of the second season in one day.
Yeah.
In one day. Now I gotta finish season 2 and season 3 because for some reason, I just wanted to watch the Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion, and for some reason, Carlos King turned that reunion out. I think he redeemed himself with this whole Love and Marriage Huntsville storyline. Well,
Let's see.
let me finish watching it and
I
then
want to
I'll
watch it because I
say
don't
that.
even know
I'll
yet.
reserve my response on that.
Yeah.
But Love and Marriage Huntsville is really good.
Okay.
And when I say really good, I mean really good.
All right.
Like,
I gotta
because
go.
it's one of those shows, but the reason why it's so good is because you know how, like, on Housewives, it's really about the wives and we may
Mm-hmm.
see the husbands every now and again.
I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how on Housewives it's like um it's like it's mostly about the wives. We care more about the wives than anybody else, and then the husbands are like side characters in their story. Well, the thing is, with Love and Marriage Huntsville, the husbands are equal cast members with the wives. They come on as couples. So we get to see that it's the dynamic between the wives, it's the dynamic between the husbands, it's the dynamic between the couples.
And they're all
Like,
friends. They're all couples that are
this
friends. Is that
Yes.
what? Okay.
And the way that this show came together was one couple is um they build houses. One is they, they're like real estate agents. One does credit, one does
Okay.
this, one does that. And they came together because they were trying to start this investment group to come and build these affordable houses in the area that they all grew up in. So it was called the comeback group because they're coming back to the area that they made it out of, right?
Mm,
But there's a whole lot of drama that's within the
yeah.
comeback group. So the first season starts with them trying to put this collective of entities back together, and that's how you meet all of the couples
Hmm.
because each couple brought something different to the comeback group, and they're trying to come back together to do this project where they're building these two houses on this land.
Mm,
And so while they're trying to get this project done, there's stuff that's happening within the dimensions of the group. There's stuff that's
mhm.
happening within the girls. There's stuff that's happening within the husbands. Like it's so much
How many
happening, but
seasons
it's
are
so
there?
good. They just finished season 3.
All
For
right.
some
Yeah.
reason, I just randomly started watching the season 3 reunion.
Hmm.
But the season 3 reunion was so the the season
Riveting.
3 reunion was so good that I went back and watched a season and a half in one day.
I know.
If
I
that
heard
tells you
Empire
anything.
talking about it, and I was like, I started to get in just by listening to it, and I was like, I can't even start another show yet because I
Kempire
started.
got me onto it. I,
Yeah,
I think
I
that
was
was
like
why I
selling.
watched the reunion was because I was talking to Kempire about it.
Yep, and I was like, man, they got me on Selling Sunset, which I couldn't even. I started and didn't even finish,
I
and
haven't
then
seen
like
Selling Sunset yet, but I watched
I have it on my
Selling
list.
Tampa in one day.
I'm gonna have it on the list, but all right, I'm getting antsy. You see me?
I feel you, Chad. I'm hot in here, but I ain't trying to take this bra off in front of
I
people.
know. I'm sitting there like I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I'm getting antsy. But guys, we literally kept like almost everybody stayed in the room. Almost our whole group, like the usual group that we have on Adam's channel, like coffee, but everybody you can see the chat. What am I saying? You can see the chat, right?
Yeah, what's up, y'all?
Yeah. But all right, well, I'm gonna have to get off of here because my back's killing me. But this was fun. And like seriously, we can do this. We can start out next week. We don't always have to be 3 hours, but
Yeah.
like we would just I'm glad that like everybody joined us because it
Trust
was
me, no one
fun.
ever plans to be on live. Well, I'm not going to say that because there are
I
some
mean,
channels that I see on YouTube where every single one of
hours.
their videos are lives for 3, 4, 5. I've seen one channel that was on live for 7 hours. I was like,
Um,
girl,
I
I ain't
know.
calling no names because I might want to, call
I
into
know
to the channel
exactly.
one day.
I've seen it, and I'm like, what are you doing up? I knew you been up all night,
What
bitching.
type of money are you making from these lives? Jesus Christ.
I
Maybe
was
I need
like,
to start doing lives again.
and then I was
But I
like,
don't.
I'm confused. What happened now? I gotta go back and do a deep dive. We'll go back 9 hours and spend 10 chats
See,
before
that's why
to
I
figure
stopped
the
doing
fuck
lives is
out.
because that's why I
I'm
stopped doing
lost.
lives is because I didn't want to sit here and go through a 3 or 4 hour live and section it off
Right.
into clips and timestamps and this and then cut out and put a section of it
I
here and a
know.
section of it there. Da, da, da. I just didn't want to do all of that. I
I
was like,
know.
girl, I'm exhausted. I'm not doing it.
I know. Yeah, we
But
can make this a weekly thing, by the way, Erin. We are. I'm going to try to make it like if this is a good time and like actually starting at 7 and staying on for 2 hours is probably good too because I know the West Coast people, they don't get home from work. You know what I mean? Because I've seen a lot of people jumped on late too. So, but yeah, I do want to do this a weekly thing. And you're down, right, Jordan?
I'm here.
All
Y'all
right.
know where to find me.
All right. Well, that was good then. I'm glad. So, everybody, thank you guys. Thank you so much for putting up
This
with
was
me.
fun. This was fun, honey. Thank y'all for
It is
having me. Child.
fun.
I don't know what was going on with my audio in the beginning, but
I never get to
she
talk
got it
about this
together.
shit with people. Like, we can go on other people's lives and talk about it, but like to literally talk with somebody about reality TV, and like I literally been dying to do this for like 15 years, probably. Literally, I would blog back in the
You
day.
know what we should do? You know what we should do?
What? What?
We should go back and like watch old reality shows and like recap them. Like I've always wanted to go back and recap the old Flavor of Love episodes, the old Rock of Love episodes. I've
Well,
always wanted to go back and watch all those of love shows.
I remember when I found out that like Brett Michaels was actually engaged the entire time. That just killed the whole damn thing for me. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Flav was
And then Flame
Flav
was too.
on season 3. He
Come
left the girl
on.
that he chose for the baby mama that he was with the entire time.
I was like,
I was
what?
like,
You dog.
Flav.
I
Now, the crazy
tell
part
you
is,
so bad.
I think he finally. Well, I think the only relationship that he was actually in on Flavor of Love was season 2 with Delicious. They actually
I mean,
dated.
yeah.
They actually dated in real life, and then what happened was she wanted to pursue her music, and I think it turned him off, and they broke up when she released Rump Shaker.
I
Go
was
look up Delicious's song Rump Shaker, y'all.
rope shit.
That's an old reality TV bop. Just
That's
go listen to
crazy.
it. It was
I
very
did.
Jocelyn Hernandez before Jocelyn Hernandez, but she can actually sing.
I didn't know Jocelyn Hernandez could sing.
She can,
I was gonna say
but it
that.
was like reality TV booty music before Jocelyn
Yeah,
Hernandez came on the scene. But it was actually like a decent little song, and not indicative of her having a singing career. But it was a cute little song or whatever. She was like one
yeah.
of the first people to like put out music after being on reality TV. It was great. But
Cute. She's cute.
yeah,
But
yeah, she's cute.
I
But
think Stevie should get back with her, but I don't know. I knew him and Faith were not going to last. I didn't think Faith could put up with him for too long. I was kind of surprised, but
I
I think he should get
all I
back.
can think about when I think about Stevie J and Faith Evans is now how's Mimi gonna get her child support on time?
Poor
Cause
Mimi.
she was
Now,
saying that cause she was saying that when Stevie married Faith, that was the best thing that ever
right?
happened to him because she started getting child support on time. He started keeping promises. He
I
started showing
know.
up. I
We're like,
thought Faith had whipped him into shape
because I
until
was like,
next thing you
yeah, she
know,
would
Faith
have
got
married
pregnant.
him. Like I thought she married him. That she married. She would have not made a bad. You know what I mean? I'm like, she's marrying him. Then he's changed, right? And
But
Mimi
then
sees it,
again,
but
we can't always,
true.
we can't really take Faith Evans' credibility very wisely. She did marry Biggie after 2 weeks.
She did.
Let's not forget about
But
that.
they would still
All
be
my
together.
90s hip hop heads, y'all confirm this in the chat. Y'all remember Big and Faith
But
got married after 2 weeks.
would they
Just
still?
saying.
Don't you think they'd still be together though if he was still here? They'd
They
probably
weren't
still be
together when he
together.
died.
They weren't. Well, when they think they'd be back,
No.
like they could be back together. I don't know.
He was trying to get back with Faith and Kim,
At the same
according to the
time,
movie and according to them. Well, according to them, but this was depicted in the movie, but Kim has confirmed this, even though she doesn't like the movie. No,
right?
no, I'm Tori. She hated her portrayal in the movie, but she did say that this was correct. That
Mm,
Big was trying to get back with her right before he died, and that like they were trying to like fix it and work on things, and
yeah.
like they were trying to start over. And Faith was saying the same things because him and Faith were broke up when Big
Right.
died. Like they were not together.
I
Like
yeah.
like heading towards divorce and everything.
Hmm.
So I don't know if they would still be together, to
Hmm.
be honest with you. I genuinely don't believe so.
No. Yeah, she might have been sick of that. Yeah, she probably would have got that. Would have got old with her, him, and all that. It would have got old, probably him and his
Yeah,
games.
because like he met and married Faith Evans while he was still messing around with Little Kim and Charlie Baltimore. Like y'all gotta really get into the story back in the day. Like my old hip hop heads, y'all just chat about that in the comments. But
Mm,
like Biggie was out here running these girls back in the day. Like
mm.
Faith was Faith was knocking down hotel door rooms, beating up bitches. Like Faith
That's a
Evans was not playing with the girls back in the day. So I
mm.
don't really trust her picker when it
Yeah,
comes to men, to be perfectly honest.
true.
People was like,
Stevie.
what is a lady like Faith Evans doing with a man like Steve?
I know. I was like, well, maybe he grew up. I don't know.
Remember her first husband?
Yeah, my baby's mom.
And I don't expect like, and Stevie has been this nasty nigga for all these
Oh,
years. You got to remember,
mhm.
he's the
Creep
dude that
Squad.
that was in the sex tape
Creep
with
Squad.
Eve.
And he's Creep Squad. He's the number. He's the king of the Creep Squad.
Well, child, he may as well had a been.
I don't
I
want to
wish
see
they
him
would
damn
put him.
sexy.
I wish that they would have put him in Love and Hip Hop New York, so that he could have really been a part of the Creep Squad with Rich Dollars and Cisco and all of them, because he would have fit right in. But
I
he
thought
literally
yeah,
solidified the Creep Squad in Atlanta. Like
yeah.
he like it
He
was
needs to
Creep
come back.
Squad adjacent. It was the same thing, basically.
Yeah, I'm waiting for new. I'm waiting for some. I miss Mendeecees. I miss Yandy. I'm waiting for it to come back. I want them. I
I'm
don't
trying to
want a
figure
family
out.
reunion. I want them their show back. I don't want a family reunion show. I want the show back.
I'm trying to figure out what is going on with Love and Hip Hop, because the last season of Love and Hip Hop New York, it seems like that show just faded away in the
long.
middle of the season with no conclusion, no reunion. I
Mm-mm.
don't know what happened on the show. It
Mm-mm.
seems like with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the same thing happened. It was like
Yeah.
the show just went away. Like there was
Yeah.
no reunion, there was
I haven't
no
watched it.
conclusion. Love and Hip Hop Miami. I have no clue what happened
Oh,
this season. What happened with Love and Hip Hop Miami? All I know is that Trina got engaged at the very end of the show.
I
No
only read.
reunion.
Oh,
We still haven't seen Love and Hip Hop Hollywood yet.
you
What are
know,
they doing in Hollywood? Is
I
that
didn't
coming
watch.
back?
I missed all of Miami. I didn't watch one live, and I just realized the whole season went, and I didn't watch one episode of Love and Hip Hop Miami. I
I
got
watched
something
one episode and I just was not
because
interested. I couldn't watch it again.
yeah, like I started watching. Like, I loved Trina back in the day. She was my girl back in the day, and then I liked it because of her. But I just realized the whole season just aired. I didn't even watch one episode because
Exactly. I watched maybe 2 episodes
yeah,
of this season and I
huh,
was like, I what is what it just seems like Love and Hip Hop as an entire franchise, not just one show. It seems like that entire franchise is just
yeah,
crumbling. It seems like they have never recovered from COVID and they don't know
right,
how to shoot a show during COVID,
but
because it
yeah,
seems like all of these shows are being affected by COVID, but everybody else's
they're
show
coming
is
back.
moving on. Like we're having full Real Housewives reunions in person now.
I know everything's back
Now,
into
mind
like
you,
back in the swing of things.
like if Love and Hip Hop would just get smart and just start doing reunions housewives style with no audience, space them out, do all of that, like
Maybe because Love and Hip Hop got so bad they couldn't even have the freaking reunions together because they were fighting. They could not even have them in the same room. I think they got
that
tired.
and Love and Hip Hop be having like 30 cast members on
A
one
lot,
season.
a lot.
Like it'd be like 10 people on stage and another 15 people sitting on the couch in front of the
And
audience. Like
that's a
it'd be
whole
like
lot of people to try to when there's a fight. That's a whole lot of people to try to gag because they're all you know what I mean. That's a lot of security you need for all those people and worry
and
about them to be
everybody's trying to
fighting like
fight
that.
and scrape
Right?
for a
They
storyline. Like
probably
we
got
don't know
tired of it. They were like, nah, like family. I mean, I don't even know. I can't even speculate. I
I
did
didn't
they
even
have
watch
a
this season of
reunion?
the family reunion.
And
Like
then me
I just
either. Not interested.
cause
I don't want to mix them all together. I want them to stay like they stay in their city. Like when they're in their city and they have their normal thing. To me, when you do the family reunion, like on vacation, it's not as fun as it is when they're filming at home with all that fun. You know what I mean? Like you're
so
not bringing
what's
Mama D on family reunion. She's
you know
going to be
what's interesting about that though is
hmm?
that you hate Love and Hip Hop family reunion, but love Ultimate Girls Trip.
That's crazy to me because it's just the same thing. It's like
It's the
not
exact same
yeah.
thing.
Now watch, I'll probably like it. You're right. Now I'll probably eat my words. I'll watch it and be like, you gotta watch it. But
Last season was pretty good. I didn't watch a lot of this season, but I think for me, I just didn't want to watch Safari and Erica. Like Safari is a trigger for me.
did they really
Like
break up? Like they're really broken up. They're really divorced, right?
they're really divorcing in real life.
That
And
is
I
fucked up. Like
it
like
watching them humanized Erica Mena for me in a way that I didn't expect. Mind you, I've always
right?
liked Erica Mena, but it's always been off and on with her. Like I hated her when she was with Rich, but I loved her when she was with Sin, right?
Yeah.
And then I loved her with Safari. The
Me
problem
too. But
is that when Erica Mena was with Safari, Erica Mena was married in real life.
hmm?
Safari was married on television.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And that's why I was
That's
like,
the
where
problem.
did that love go? Because I was really happy for her to find, for them to find each other because he was looking for that, like, his
They met
person.
on Scared Famous.
And then, like, what the hell? Like, how? And I thought maybe they were just doing this. Like, I really thought they would get back together when she got pregnant again. I thought they're going to work it out towards the end. But they really got divorced, didn't they? Like, they're really not together, I guess.
I don't know if it's final or not, but
They're
I
the best
haven't
thing
seen
that
anything
happened
about
for
them
each
getting
other, but
together.
I can't.
I think Erica would have been the best thing that happened to him.
Right.
But watch the first couple episodes of this last season. I think it may have been the first episode. Watch the first couple episodes of this past season that just
Right.
aired of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and watch how their relationship breaks down. It
I
is
saw.
heartbreaking.
I was like, I don't think I watched the end of it because I don't know what happened, but like I remember having no closure to what happened. That's why I was like, did they ever even? Because I remember thinking like they were so in love. They were crying. I was like, good. I'm so happy for them. And then she gets pregnant again. And I'm like, what is wrong with him? Go home. Why are you not home?
Also, but I have questions when it comes
Yeah.
to them too, because watching their relationship fall apart was heartbreaking to me. But I am trying to figure out, I am legitimately, and I am always going to have these questions.
Right.
How the hell were they living in the house together and Erica walked around for 6.5 months
Well,
and Safari never noticed
that
she
she was
was
pregnant.
pregnant?
And they didn't and they're not having intercourse. Come on, like you
I
gotta.
could see from the first
She's
episode when she
little.
walked up in that white suit, white
Mm.
tracksuit when they was talking in the kitchen. Go back and watch it. You could see her belly poking in. I was like, wait, they baby
Mm-mm.
like 1 or 2. She ain't lost the baby weight yet. Don't she got a Savage X Fenty deal? Like,
Yep.
don't she need to be
Crazy.
posting something for Fashion Nova? Like, she looking a little thick. And then next thing you know, 3 episodes later, I'm pregnant.
7 months
How
pregnant.
far along are you? 6 months? Excuse
Mm-hmm.
me?
Yeah.
But
He
every
must not have been
confessional
there.
she's in, she is huge.
He must
Well,
not
I
have
ain't
been
gonna say
home.
she's huge. She's pregnant.
Yeah. That means he must not have been home.
I'm
He
trying to.
must not have been there. Like, I mean, how do you not know? She's a little girl. Like your girl, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I
Like,
mean. Like, maybe they
she's a
weren't even really
small woman.
together.
And
They
then
weren't
on
really
top of
together.
that, the way she said it, when she announced it to him, she said it like she only found out a few weeks ago. You
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
6
That's right.
months pregnant. Now, mind you, TLC, aka the Learning Channel, did an entire series called I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant. So
That's
I
true.
recognize and I understand that things like this can happen.
Yeah.
However,
The questions.
it just doesn't, for some reason, this just doesn't
Mm-mm.
seem
Mm-mm.
realistic, because even when they did even when she did announce it to him, it's not like he was like, well, how could you get pregnant? Like, we haven't been sleeping
Right.
together. Like, y'all have been sleeping together. Y'all been knocking boots and doing all of that. Like she
Mm-hmm.
didn't seem too surprised that she got pregnant. And like, he didn't seem
That's
to
yeah.
deny the fact that she could be pregnant. He
I
just
know.
seemed to be shocked that she was pregnant.
I know. And then
So
it
I'm
didn't even
like,
make it didn't even make them nothing. It was like, oh, okay. It's a girl, or a boy or whatever. And then she even knew the sex right away. And I was like,
she
mm,
literally set up an entire Jamaican concert. Like, I wonder if Spice did that concert in their backyard for free,
place.
or if she paid Spice and her dancers to come out there and do one song on a piece of damn tarp.
Tarp.
Like, girl, what the hell?
I
Like, you
know.
literally set all that up to tell that man that you pregnant, and he looked at you like,
Oh, okay. He's like, he was as surprised as we were. Just like, wait a minute, what? And you're 6 months,
I
7
don't think
months.
he was as surprised as we were, because I knew
That's
she
what
was
I'm saying. He
pregnant
was
from the first
really,
episode. I was like, girl, you're pregnant.
mm.
Or that, or you haven't lost that baby weight. It was one or
That was
two.
another
But
thing.
I
Yeah,
was like, girl, your child is 2 years old.
I
Not to
know.
say that that's a
Wow.
not
Yeah.
not to say that there's a stipulation or a time limit on when a woman should lose weight after giving
Right.
birth. My point in saying that is that she has a lot of endorsement deals that require her to look a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was surprised that
Yeah.
she would have been walking around a year or two later with fresh baby weight when she posts for Fashion Nova, Savage X
Yep.
Fenty, like,
Love
her
that
whole
shit, but
brand is
yeah.
about being sexy. It has nothing to do with, oh, she ain't lost the baby weight by now. It's not that. It's just
Yeah.
her career choice. I would assume she would have more of a provocation to get into shape faster. Maybe I'm tripping.
I know. I'm getting in trouble. I gotta hang up.
Oh, go ahead, girl.
Oh,
You could have been stopped me.
no, I know. I was like, I felt bad, but I've seen I'm like, now I hear him creeping at the door.
Aww.
But
Go ahead, girl.
I will talk to you in the morning. I'll talk to you
All right,
tomorrow.
babe.
Thanks
I
for
will be here.
talking. Everybody, good night, everyone. I think everybody's gone. I think they're leaving us anyway.
Good night,
I will talk
y'all.
to you guys later. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Good
having
night,
me, babe.
guys. You're welcome. Love yous.
Love you. I'll see you later.
Bye.
why?
How do I